Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you bestowed upon us this day and every day. Lord, we thank you for Opa-locka. Thank you for the residents. Thank you for all those that are here present tonight. Thank you for those that work for the city. And we just continue to praise and honor you in all these things we ask. Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so today we have an award, but before we get started with our awards, I would like to take some time to acknowledge Black History Month. I didn't do so last meeting, and as a student of African American history, it is very important that we recognize the unique history and struggles people have. Black history is human history, it's world history. It's very important that we learn and understand that history. There's been a few amazing videos that have come on. Men from the Netflix series that I strongly encourage people to look at. It's one of my favorites. I love Black history. And also One Night in Miami, which is a movie that came out, and Judas and the Messiah, which are all very good documentaries and movies that I think everyone should take some time during this Black History Month to educate and learn about. So I want to also recognize the commission and those that have recognized Black history and attended those events, and also continue to ensure that we are understanding of our heritage. Thank you, everyone. And now let's move on to our Employee of the Month. We have a Star of Excellence for Officer Ruben Barrero from the Opa-locka Police Department. Mr. Manager, you want to?
Good evening, everybody. You know, uh, days like this is what I look forward to doing, the positive things and acknowledging our wonderful employees of the city that do such an amazing job. Before I even read this narrative, I would tell you Detective Barrero has been promoted. He's actually detective now, not an officer. So I would tell you he was one of the officers that I kind of connected to when I came to the city. That I saw a lot of potential in. And he came to me and said, Mr. Manager, I've been here for years. And I remember our conversations, been here for years. I always wanted to be a detective, and nobody was willing to give me a chance to be a detective. I said, being new, I'm kind of evaluating things and looking around and seeing how things go. And so fast forward, Miami-Dade County does a report, and we do all our transitions in the police department. We have vacancies in the detective section, and Barrero interviews. And he gets that chance he's been interviewing for over and over again since he's been in the city. I will tell you, and I don't say this to many other than my command staff, he is one of the officers that I am very much impressed with. It shows the professionalism, the true professionalism of the City Opa-locka Police Department, and is a symbol of where we're going in the future as far as our officers and the services to our community. So let me read the narrative to the Star Award. Detective Barrero was assigned a case in reference to a 76-year-old man that was reported missing. Family members stated that after leaving Opa-locka, the victim advised that he was entering Highway US 27. First, Detective Barrero made contact with numerous jurisdictions to see if any vehicle accidents had been reporting. There were none. That evening, traveling down US 27, Detective Barrero began his search, where he eventually arrived at the victim's residence, which is located in Clewiston, Florida. But there was no signs of the victim. The following morning, Detective Barrero decided to take the same drive, this time requesting Palm Beach Sheriff County Sheriff's Office to conduct a flyover in the area US 27 and the local canal banks. While approaching marker 60, Detective Barrero observed a guardrail utterly broken as if a traffic crash had occurred. Walking along the area of the highway, he discovered a vehicle grill that was similar to the victim's vehicle. He then again notified Palm Beach County Sheriff. At this time, they requested a dive team. The vehicle was pulled, after a thorough search, the dive team discovered a vehicle submerged in 18 feet of water, 18 feet. The vehicle was pulled from the water with the license plate matching the victim's vehicle. Sadly, it was discovered that the individual pulled from the vehicle submerged was identified as our missing person via driver's license that he had on his person. It was unfortunate that the investigation had such a traffic end, but it had it not been for Director Barrero, the victim would not have been located, leaving the family with no closure or peace. Detective Barrero, the department commends you for your allegiance and exceptional attention to duty. And I'm going to add a little to this. I don't think any law enforcement agency would have put as much effort in as we did. Going up US Highway 27, several miles, 50, 60 miles plus away from the city to search for this guy, going and retracing the steps of this guy all the way to his house to find this accident scene. The most emotional part is we were able to bring closure to this guy's family. God knows how long that vehicle would remain submerged if our officers would not have took them duty to search that area and ensure that that victim's family had some type of closure. It was discovered he got into an auto vehicle accident in the middle of the night, and of course his vehicle submerged, he drowned. But his family was able to bury their father of 76 years, and they were able to get closure. You demonstrate unusual compassion, commitment, and dedication to the citizens and visitors of the great city of Opa-locka. Thank you for your service. Detective Barrero.
Thank you, Officer Barrero and his family, and to all of our officers that go above and beyond the line of duty to bring justice and to protect and serve all residents in this community and outside this community. Much respect for the service that you've done today. Thank you on behalf of the commission. All right, let's move on to approval of the consent agenda. Are there any pulls, deletions, or deferrals?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager?
I believe the Vice Mayor would like to pull her item. Okay, I'm sorry, I heard silence. I'm sorry, my apologies, ma'am.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I want to pull agenda item 1 from the consent.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda? Well, I guess there isn't any consent agenda, so we don't need a motion. All right, we have an add-on now. Madam Attorney?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, authorizing the city manager to accept a grant from the Florida Department of Transportation for a new Opa-locka community bus route in an amount up to $225,121, authorizing a funding match from the city of Opa-locka for the program, further authorizing the city manager to execute the Bureau of Justice Assistance Grant Form, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
Mr. Manager, could you state the emergency nature of this item?
Mr. Mayor, acknowledging based on the code, the welfare of the citizens of Opa-locka is the reason for the urgency and add on for this item.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to add this on to that agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Williams. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the virtual COVID-19 workshop minutes, April 30th, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Burke. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
We have a motion to approve the virtual COVID-19 workshop minutes for June 4th, 2020.
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the virtual COVID-19 workshop minutes for June 11th, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the virtual COVID-19 workshop minutes for June 18th, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Williams, second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the virtual COVID-19 workshop minutes for July 2nd, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the 4 major challenges workshop minutes for December 9th, 2020?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the regular commission meeting minutes for January 27th, 2021?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the regular commission meeting minutes for February 10th, 2021?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor Williams,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, moving on to our county commissioner reports. We have the honor of having our vice chair of the Miami-Dade County Commission here in person, Vice Chair Oliver Gilbert. Thank you very much for coming and approaching us in person. Hold on, get it, Mike.
Hold on. There you go. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Mr. Manager, Commissioners. Thank you all for having me. It's always good to be in the city of Opa-locka. You know, I am often reminded of the fact that, you know, while I was the mayor of Miami Gardens, when I was growing up, everybody thought they lived in Opa-locka. You know, if you were 33055, 33054, 33056, you lived in Opa-locka. And so, you know, when my dad's church was on the Bab, and then later on Superior, I literally grew up in this city. And so it's always good to be back here. It's always good to see the city progressing. And so I appreciate all of you for your leadership, and I appreciate the ability and opportunity to work with you. I've been having conversations with the mayor off and on about economic development, and recently I had the opportunity to speak with the chairperson of your CRA. And there's some things as I go back and forth with organizations like the Beacon Council, and just different developers. And as I have the conversations with people who do business at the airport, the main message that I am sending to them is that Opa-locka is open for business. And that has to go past the airport. And so I know that the relationship between the airport and the city was changed some years back. And that's unfortunate. But what the airport is going to have to be is an economic engine for development in this city overall. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to working with you, Mr. Mayor, to make that happen. I'm committed to bringing resources and opportunity to this community. Look, when people talk about Oakland, they see Opa-locka, what I see is I see a city with extraordinary history and heritage. I see a city that actually is Black history. And I understand the actual effect of what Opa-locka is and what it has been historically for the Miami-Dade County community. I see a city that's put great leaders out here, great in every field, politics, education, business, law, medicine. I see a city that's trying to progress, and I see leaders who are trying to progress. And so I encourage you all to keep working hard. I encourage you all to keep working together and understand that you have a county commissioner who is here to help you. And when I say here to help you, what I mean is this. I'm going to be continuously meeting with the mayor, and I hope I just met the manager. I hope to get to know you better, and to meet with you. But if you all ever have, strategic planning sessions, I'd love to come speak with you all about what it is you want to get accomplished. Because those are the things, your goals. Look, I'm not here to give you an agenda. I'm here to make your agenda more doable from a county perspective. And so the things that I look at, like economic development, the things I look at like the debt that's outstanding to the county that we can do something about. From a county perspective, I'm looking at those things, but I'm always interested in your ideas also. Because ultimately, you're on these streets. You know the residents and the businesses of Opa-locka better than anyone else. You know the needs of the residents and the businesses of Opa-locka better than anyone else. So your voices, the elected voices of the city, are the ones that should be paramount. And I appreciate you all. And I would just add, my staff told me to remember, I know we're working with your Parks Department, I don't know if they're here or not, on a program that we're bringing to expose kids in the community to golf. And so we got some scholarships, and I'm trying to get names from your Parks Department, because what they'll do is they'll take kids and they'll just teach them golf. They don't have to bring anything but a desire to move forward. It's completely free. It's one of the things that I want to bring to the city and to the district, because from my perspective, Miami-Dade County is an extraordinary place. But if you lived in Opa-locka or Miami Gardens, or even in some of the unincorporated areas up here, you don't know what the beauty of the agricultural community down south is. You might have never seen the historical areas in Coral Gables. You might have never visited Vizcaya. You don't really know the beauty of Miami-Dade County until someone actually, and opportunities that exist, until someone actually exposes you to them. Well, it's our job as leaders, it's our job as the adults and the parents and in this community to actually expose our kids to those things. I take that responsibility seriously, because if people, look, if someone hadn't say, hey, come to see this opera, come to see this play, it helps expand your mind. Expanding their minds will give them greater opportunities going forward. And so this is the first of many things that we hope to bring as we transition through COVID-19. It is my hope that we will do more of those things, because I think that while I'm a county commissioner that represents and is elected from District 1, I actually am a county commissioner. And so my voice is the same on matters throughout the entire county, as is all of ours. And so I appreciate that. And also thank you all for continuing to work you're doing on COVID and helping the keep the community safe, and trying to help bring testing and vaccination sites here to Opa-locka. I think it's important. One of the things that we focused on with regard to vaccination is that there's certain things that we know will keep people from getting vaccinated. First, technology can't be an impediment. So you can't just announce something on Twitter and then be surprised when people who aren't Twitter don't know that they had to sign up. You can't tell people to sign up if they're not necessarily computer literate to the extent that they want to sign up. And it can't be geographically located in such a way as to be prohibitive to people and actually getting vaccinations. Those are all things we're working on with the mayor and the state. And I look forward to working on those things with you all also. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Much respect, Vice Chair. Any comments or questions for the Vice Chair?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Burke?
Mr. Vice Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for taking your time to grace us with your blessings in our great city, and we welcome you here anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor?
Vice Chairman Oliver Gilbert, thank you so much for the community cleanup and all that you did with the county and with Opa-locka. We had a ball and we cleaned and we cleaned and cleaned, Commissioner Taylor. And but we thank you for being a catalyst for change here, not only in Miami Gardens, not only in Opa-locka, but all of the district, all of the county. Your voice is always heard, always welcomed, and we just truly, truly appreciate you for gracing us and blessing us with your presence. Thank you.
No, thank you, Vice Mayor, for actually partnering with me on that. I enjoyed it. We cleaned up a whole bunch of stuff, and I think she was being a little petty with Commissioner Taylor there because he had the cleanest white shirt.
That's the
And the
she
cleanest,
didn't work.
man, you had the whitest Air Force Ones. At the cleanup, he came with a crease. So I ain't never seen nothing like that before, but you was sharp, man. You was sharp. But you know, it just so, listen, it was so interesting because the mayor was out there, the vice mayor was out there, the commissioner was out there. And it was interesting because we came and we were gonna do this one little park area. But what we found is, and this is how community works, if we all come and we all actually start doing just a little bit, nobody was overworked that day. But what we found is in the first 10 minutes, we had cleaned up the park. And so then we moved to the next street. And then we moved to the next street. And so we just kept cleaning it up. And you know, Mr. Mayor, you directed me to some housing over there. I talked to our housing department. I talked to Mr. Liu there, and we're getting movement on that because there's no reason that a project that the county was paying for should be left like that at this point. We're working on it. And so we're going to do our best to get that and put something there that makes you all proud and that this community is happy to have there. And so we're getting right on that. I told him that the only pace we have in this district is my pace, and it's fast. So I don't understand waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So unless it's quantum physics, we can do it now. So let's just do it now. But thank you very much for partnering. And we will be back to do cleanups also. And everybody, please come out. Commissioner Taylor, please come out. At least wear a dark color shirt this time. So.
Hold on, I think Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the Vice Chairman, thank you as always for coming out in support of our city. Thank you for all the wise words relative to economic development. We just actually wrapped up a CRA board meeting where that was actually the discussion, and we look forward and going forward with a workshop on March 17th to discuss just that. So again, thank you for coming out. We look forward to working with you. You know, this city is a jewel. It's centrally located. The mayor, you know, always touts our accomplishments and the things that makes us great. So we definitely look forward to working with you on that. Thank you.
No, I look forward to doing it, commissioners. And listen to that. If it's open to it and I'm available, I'd love to come to that session. I'd love to come and talk. And don't just think of it as, listen, the county has resources, and I know they've helped you all and stuff, but we have resources that can speak to economic development. We have resources that aren't just money, that's information and talent. And so I don't mind trying to make those type of things available to you all also, because ultimately that should never be the deficit with regard to why you don't move something forward. And so anything that we can do, please reach out to me. Mr. Mayor, please reach out to me, because I think that ultimately you all, if you could see yourselves from my position right now, as you look across the board and you look people who are sitting there eager to actually transform a community, it's that type of unity, it's that type of vision, and it's that type of just really solid nature of something that actually helps people want to invest in a place, creating that atmosphere of certainty. Like, this is what the land use is going to be. This is how we see business. We want business. The answer to when you come before us, the default answer is not no. the default answer is how. Well, how can we make that work? Can we make that work? Because ultimately, people want to go where business wants to go, where business can do business. And so trying to create that environment actually transitions your tax base and helps you provide more services for your residents. And ultimately, it does innumerable things. And so it's something that I look forward to working with you all on.
Much respect, Vice Chair. Thank you very much for your presence and your leadership. It is an honor to have a Vice Chair of the Miami-Dade County in here in Opa-locka, and this is not his first time coming here. So to have you continuously, consistently coming up, showing up, answering calls, it is a blessing, and it shows the progress of this city and this county and how united we will grow and shine into the great city of Opa-locka that we are. And so thank you very much,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Chair.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a moment of privilege. I know it's District 2 report, but I also see we have Representative James Bush on Zoom, online. Representative Bush, are you there?
Here? Yes, I am. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to get us. All right. Let me see.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
And
You
now
can
we
hear?
can see you.
Oh, there he goes.
Okay, you see me?
Yes, thank you very much for.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and commissioners and manager for inviting me to come and speak before you tonight. Let me just start by saying how delighted I am to have this opportunity to serve this great city of Opa-locka. My roots and my commitment goes back almost 35 years with previous administrations. I just want to update you on where we are in terms of the session, which will begin on March 2nd, Tuesday coming, which requires that we go to Tallahassee and serve 60 days or 2 months to balance the budget and do those things necessary to bring back to the constituents or the citizenry of our different counties, in my case, Dade County, of the dollars that we are trying to get for services that we can provide for our people. Just a very quick update. This year, I will be, as I have done in the past, work with those entities, persons, and especially our new commissioners, should I say our new state representatives, that will be working to bring back, and hopefully we can bring back some dollars so that you can do the things that is required to provide opportunities for the citizens of this great city. I will be working very closely on a couple of the issues that I found. Hopefully we can get monies for the police department. We're going to work on trying to deal with our infrastructure, which is very, very vital and key to the progress and the survival of this city. And in other issues that the delegation and others that might have pertaining to Opa-locka. Just a little update on some of the things that we have been working on in the district and in the district meeting Opa-locka recently. We have provided some opportunities for about 500 residents in the Miami, or should I say in the Opa-locka area to be vaccinated. We had our second vaccination on past Saturday, which we had about 500 people to show up. I was here along with former Commissioner and Mayor Pastor Joseph Kelly of Holy Temple Missionary Baptist Church, and we went in conjunction with the city of Opa-locka. And I want to thank the city manager for giving us the assistance that we needed to make sure that that was a success. And so we spent time talking to the people and should I say the residents of Opa-locka, and asked them, did they have a reaction of the first vaccine that was administered? And out of many of the residents that I talked to who had taken the shot, they maybe 2 or 3 said they had sore arms, but it was nothing major. So we want to consider that that was a very successful 500 dose that was provided for this city. I am presently working on the second dose of vaccines or shots for the city of Opa-locka. And I have designated, Mr. Manager, the overseer of, should I say, the new location would be the New Fellowship Christian Church. And that's under the leadership of Pastor Craig Lockins, and the overseers Pastor Jimmy Lockins. And so that would be the next location that when I have been given the green light and the go ahead to start that process. Actually, the process have already started, but we'll know something very soon in terms of what dates that we will start advertising vaccines for the Opa-locka area. With that being said, I want to go now to just a couple of things that we've been working on in this district. As you know, I represent Opa-locka, and I was called into the Glorietta Gardens apartment units about a month or 2 ago by a couple of the residents, and we had a major flooding. And from that, we were able to work with the city manager and the management and the owners to assist those families that had been flooded out on the first floor of this apartment. And we're able to put them into hotels out in Durrell in 2 different locations. Since then, we have had meetings every 2 weeks to kind of like have an update. And Mr. Mayor, and commissioners, I want to report to you that things are moving along very smoothly. I think that with the finding out the major problem of the flooding in that area, there were some things that needed to be done. And I think that the city manager, I want to thank the city manager as well as the owners who had their independent people to go in and do assessments, and they are still working on that. And they will bring back a report to let us know exactly what their findings are. The 30-inch pipeline, should I say, the 30-inch line that was causing a lot of the problems were cleaned out by the owners, and several other things are going on as we speak. And so just wanted to let you know that we are working, we meaning the city of Opa-locka, the manager, his group, working with the owners and the management over there in Glorietta to try to come to some type of not only agreement, but some type of resolve so that the citizenry over there can live in a decent and safe environment. And I think pretty much that is my report tonight in terms of what we have been doing and what we are trying to do and accomplish to bring some closure to the major problems that have existed for many, many years over in that particular location. And with that being said, I will continue to work with the leadership in Tallahassee, the delegation, and also keep in close contact with those entities that can make the things happen for us in the great city of Opa-locka. And I want to encourage and commend you guys for working together, and we can do a lot together if we work together. I want to commend the Vice Mayor, Oliver Gilbert, in his report and the things that he has planned for this great city from the county perspective and the county level. We all have different jurisdictions, and we can all bring something to the table. So I'm just so happy to see that he has picked up the helm, and he's carried it now to another level. And with that being said, I need your prayers as I get ready to travel to Tallahassee on this weekend so I can begin my 13th year in the Florida House of Representatives. I believe this year we will be able to get some things done, and hopefully for the city of Opa-locka. And so I need your prayers as we attempt to do that. And with that being said, I think we are pretty much have covered the things that I think I need to cover at this time.
Thank you, Representative Bush. Any comments or questions for Representative Bush?
Just a comment, Mr.
Commissioner
Mayor.
Davis.
Thank you, Representative Bush, for all that you do for our community. A special thank you to the recent work that you've done in Glorietta Gardens. As you know, we've always had long-standing issues within that community. So we definitely appreciate you lending a hand and really helping our residents out during these difficult times. So again, thanks on behalf of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Manager?
Representative Bush, I want to thank you, sir, for your counsel, your support, and your great mediation skills while we've been dealing with the issues of Glorietta. You've been a wonderful mediator between the city of Opa-locka and the management, and at least making some headway on some issues. There's some other issues, there's still some issues we need to discuss and go through, but I think we've made a lot of headway. And I think as long as we keep the open dialogue with them, and as long as we have your leadership and continue those bi-weekly meetings till we come to some type of final resolution, I think it being beneficial for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, and Mr. Mayor, if it's all right at this time, if I can cut in. I have to say that, Mr. Manager, you have certainly made it very easy for us to do that, and I thank you for your leadership. And as I've always said, I'm very impressed with you, and I just believe with your leadership, we're going to move to the level that we need to be and get the kind of results that we need from Glorietta. And thank you so much for what you do.
Representative Bush, it is an honor to have you serving and representing Opa-locka 13 years in the state. That veteran leadership is desperately needed to ensure that the city of Opa-locka get the appropriate appropriations to ensure that we continue to develop. Special thanks and shout out, echo the statements of Commissioner Davis and the city manager on your leadership with Glorietta Gardens. You've been very consistent in your responsiveness to our residents, and it just goes to show the support that we have on all levels of government here in the city of Opa-locka, the county, and the state, and even on the federal level, because Representative Bush was definitely on a call with Congresswoman Frederica Wilson about another property, Cordova Courts, that was also moving the needle. So many of these issues that's been long-standing challenges in the city of Opa-locka are being addressed because of the collective effort and united effort of all those who want to serve Opa-locka. And Representative Bush, your leadership shines in that regard. So thank you very much for taking the time to present to us and to continue to represent the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me this opportunity. And I would be remiss if I did not say, we appreciate you too. Certainly every team needs a quarterback. You know, I quarterbacked in 1972 for Miami Northwestern Senior High School. And you can't run a play unless you have a quarterback to take the snap. And we appreciate you taking the snap and doing what is necessary to try to run the plays and make this happen. And I believe that if you guys continue to do what you're doing and work together, we're going to get to where we need to be. I heard earlier, and then I'll make this close, that I do have to go pick my granddaughter up from dance. You know, I have dual roles, a husband, father, grandparent, and representative. However, if we continue to work together, as I've always emphasized, and have this unity, I don't have no doubt in my mind that we're going to not only talk about the Vice Mayor, Oliver Gilbert, talked about economic development. Your cities will be the premier city that every other city can emulate. And with that being said, I'm going to stop while I'm ahead because there's so much I want to say, but I do know I want to respect y'all time because y'all do have business that you have to take care of. And I'm looking forward, Mr. Mayor, to come back. And if anything that I need from Tallahassee, once I start, I have been in contact with the governor's office and been in contact with some of the departments that we need to talk to about some things that we discussed, and especially with the infrastructure. I did a letter we talked about in our last Glorietta meeting that I did submit not only to the governor, but to the United States Senator for this area. And we hopefully have some type of response very soon. So I'll just wait on that. And when I get my answer, I'll come back and make a report before this great city of Opa-locka. With that, thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Representative Bush. All right, let's move on to our public presentations. I see we have Nikisha Williams, Chief Operating Officer at the Opa-locka Community Development Corporation on Zoom.
Hi, can you all see me and hear me?
Yes.
Beautiful, thank you. Can I share a few slides? Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. You just give me a couple moments. I'll pull that up. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Now we can see.
Okay, beautiful. As the mayor mentioned, my name is Nikisha Williams. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Opa-locka Community Development Corporation. Thank you so much for having me to say that we're right in your backyards. We don't get here often enough to talk about the work that we're doing and the partnerships that we are actively pursuing together. And so I wanted to take this opportunity just to come before you and talk about some of the things that we have going on at the Opa-locka Community Development Corporation and how we are supporting the residents of Opa-locka, in some instances, how we are and have been working with the city of Opa-locka. So I just want to ground ourselves in really kind of what the Opa-locka CDC looks to do. At the end of the day, we are really trying to reduce poverty while we're increasing prosperity. So our mission is to build a strong ecosystem that supports under-resourced communities in creating an equitable and sustainable economy. And the beauty is that, you know, while we might serve the greater Northwest Miami-Dade corridor, we are based in Opa-locka. Our hub is in Opa-locka, and we're proud that that is the case. And so it means that the residents of Opa-locka have easy access to the services that we provide. So this is just a snapshot of the programs that we offer to the community. At the core, you'll see that we serve the entire family. We do this from a housing and development perspective. As many of you know, we are affordable housing developers, as well as commercial development. As you all know, the Opa-locka CDC owns a few pieces of land in downtown Opa-locka and some sites throughout the city of Opa-locka, and have plans to continue to develop in partnership with the great work that the CRA and the planning department is doing. In addition to that, we have a strong health and education component. So we work very closely, our family services department works really closely with the city of Opa-locka Police Department to help provide support. When there are folks that get in trouble, they will refer them over to us, particularly youth. And we are able to go in and work with the families, provide them support. Oftentimes that means emergency assistance, that's family therapy, that is putting those kids in tutoring or after school activities. And so we work very closely with families to really help them heal traumas that they might have or access resources that they might know they have access to. In addition to that, we offer arts and culture. As many of you know, we own the Arc, so that's located right in downtown Opa-locka, very close to the city office buildings. And so we have been known to host lots of arts and culture activities, lots of art exhibitions. We work to provide support for local artists, but in addition to that, for the past 3 or 4 years, we have provided arts camps to kids in the city of Opa-locka. And so we do that for free. We oftentimes have upwards of 60 to 100 kids in our camp. And so we look forward to doing that every year and providing kids who otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to stay engaged during the summer through our program. In addition to that, we offer an entrepreneurship program. So we work very closely with small business owners and entrepreneurs. As some of you may know, we are a community development financial institution. So that means we're CDFI. So we are a mission-based lender. So we are able to provide loans to small businesses, but we also couple that with technical assistance. So we like to give them the education that they need to be successful. We like to say that we don't just give the money and send you on your way. We're different from large banks in the respect that we couple our funds with money to ensure that that this investment in the businesses will be successful and that they will be successful. And our two newest programs are our workforce development program and our advocacy and policy. And I'm going to spend some time today talking a lot about our workforce development and entrepreneurship program. But, you know, I will say that I know some of this isn't new to you guys. I've worked with many of you up on the commission in many aspects. You all have referred clients to us, and we are here to provide that support to the residents and plan to continue to do that. So really quickly, I just want to talk about some of the things that we have done recently with the city of Opa-locka. So as many of you know, we helped provide a 2020 census outreach efforts. We are really proud that this year we achieved a 57.6% response rate. That was slightly down from 2010, but by only about 2 percentage points. And given that we were in the middle of COVID, we were really proud of our efforts. In addition to that, we own and operate 3 affordable housing developments in the city of Opa-locka. That includes Aswan Village, Town Center Apartments, as well as Magnolia North. As you all probably know, we have been doing COVID-19 food distributions for almost a year now. So at the historic Opa-locka train station, we do it twice a week, and we work with a close partner of ours that we've worked with for many years, who immediately reached out to us when COVID happened, and she has set up shop there, and it has been a consistent food source for residents who need it. And we're very proud that not only have we created space for people who come in their cars, but we've also created space for people who don't have cars, because we know that they need food just as well. And you know, it wasn't just working when it was just a drive-through, and we wanted to make sure that people who really needed the food had access to it. As I mentioned, we have a close referral system with the City of Opa-locka Police Department for care coordination and case management. And we've also worked with the CRA in terms of some consultancy and support. So for example, we've been working very closely with them on the facade program that they are currently implementing. And from my understanding, I believe 5 businesses are currently being rehabbed, and 3 of those 5 should be completed in mid-March. In addition to that, we've worked with the Urban Land Institute to provide some research on successful urban redevelopment, some case studies, and some recommendations to help the city planning department drive their initiatives forward.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what's new at the Opa-locka CDC? So one, we're really excited that we are expanding our workforce development program. We've been doing this now for about 3 years. We are very close to taking over 2 of the Career Source South Florida centers. As you all know, one of those centers operates in the Town Center building, so in Opa-locka, and there's another in Carroll City. And so this will really enhance the work that we do. So when we talk about workforce development, we're not only providing people with the skills that they need, so technical skills, whether it's in technology, CompTIA A+, web design, we're providing them with those technical skills as well as soft skills. In addition to that, we're helping them with job placement. And then once they get the job, we're providing 6 months of what we call success coaching, so mentoring, to ensure that they are successful in the role. In addition to that, all of our services have gone virtual. So we continue to operate our home buyer workshops. Our care coordination has gone virtual. And as I mentioned, we have art and tech camps for children that continue to be virtual. And in fact, this year we're looking to do some virtual, but some in person. I mentioned our enhanced workforce development program. You know, we have a new advocacy and policy initiative. We're really looking to work with the community to help them advance issues that are important to them. So we are in the process of building a program that will allow us to work with residents who are interested in advocating on different levels of government and understanding the power that they have. And so we're in the process of building that program. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about our Black Business Loan Program. So this is a new program to the Opa-locka CDC through the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade, which is our
Ms. Williams?
CDFI. Yes, hello?
Yes, is this the last slide?
It is the last slide, yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Apologies. Thank you. And so I'll just say we have $500,000 that we are able to provide to Black businesses. We are one of 3 operators of this program, which comes from the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. And we want to make sure that we're getting these loans out. Small businesses can qualify for loans from between $10,000 to $100,000 up to 5-year repayment terms. And again, this is another opportunity that we think we can work with the city of Opa-locka. I heard a lot about economic development earlier in this presentation, and we want to make sure that that we can help provide support where it makes sense. So we wanted you all to know not only about this program, but again, all of the ways in which we are supporting, I'm going to stop share now, all of the ways in which we are supporting the residents of city of Opa-locka and working with you all as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any questions or comments for Ms. Williams at Opa-locka CDC? All right, Ms. Williams, I want to thank you for coming to Opa-locka. I had a meeting with the Opa-locka CDC a few weeks ago and was very impressed with the amount of information that they provide and services they provide to residents, and want to make sure that everyone knows them as a resource for funding, for care, and all those things as partners within the city, nonprofits. And we hope that more nonprofits that have services that serve Opa-locka, please come to these commission meetings. Let our residents know about these opportunities so that they continue to see that there are wraparound services all across Opa-locka to help with almost everything that they need. So thank you for your leadership at the Opa-locka CDC, Ms. Williams, and taking the time to present to us and to the community about your services. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We've had a very exciting presentation, a lot of amazing support so far. So let's move on to the Citizens Forum. Madam Clerk, could you go over the protocols for Citizens Forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, good evening. Due to COVID-19, the City of Opa-locka Commission will hold its meetings in person while still allowing virtual participation via Zoom. In-person meetings will be held in the City Commission chambers at Sherbondi Village, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. Space for in-person attendance is very limited due to COVID-19 social distancing. Members of the public wishing to address the commission are strongly encouraged to participate virtually by registering at least 2 hours prior to the scheduled meeting time at public comments at opalockafl.gov. All persons speaking before the City Commission shall give their full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City Commission meetings will be aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. The procedures for public participation at commission meetings can also be viewed on the City of Opa-locka website at www.opalockafl.gov.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Citizens Forum is open.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I do
sorry.
have several.
Oh, you do have a few
Yes.
written. I apologize. Go ahead.
Do you want me to do those first?
Yes, we do
Okay.
those first and then.
Okay, yes, so the first public comment submitted via email is from okay, some of these are kind of long, so if it's okay, I'll go ahead and also do the time on my phone.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is submitted by Michelle Henney, 10640 Paris Street, Cooper City, Florida. And Geraldine Lazar, owner of Trimerge Consulting, began consulting with the City of Opa-locka in mid-2017. The City of Opa-locka remains 2 years behind in financial audits. We are in February 2021 and the 2019 audit has not been completed. Based on my extensive knowledge of the city's financial records and the nuances of the software and manual systems and records, if the auditors started the audit tomorrow, you would not have your 2019 CAFR until May or June 2021, and that is being very ambitious. As of September 30th, 2021, the city will again have two audits outstanding, years 2020 and 2021. With the ever revolving door of staff in the finance department under the direction of Lazar, it can be safe to say that the city may, in fact, never get caught up. However, the city would have paid Geraldine Lazar and Tri-Merge a tremendous amount of money for the effort. While I was an employee of the city, I would sit in my office countless times and wonder, am I the only one who sees what is going on? The city is losing staff left, right, and center. There is no real effort to hire a finance director, and Geraldine Lazar is billing the city $139 per hour, almost for 40 hours a week consistently, $300,000 a year. If you look at her bills, a lot of her tasks are not valued at $139 per hour. It would bother me that this consultant is billing all this money to a poor Black city while treating the city employees terribly, all while the city manager and assistant city manager watch, and apparently the commission as well, all complicit. How many programs could the city have funded for children and seniors if they have listened to the complaints of the employees in the finance department and did the right thing by hiring a finance director and other staff 2 years ago? It will just be a matter of time before the state of Florida starts to wonder, how is it that the city of Opa-locka keeps requesting deadline extensions and they keep paying all this money to Geraldine Lazar of Tri-Merge? The residents of the city of Opa-locka need to wake up. You are all being taken for a very expensive ride. Geraldine Lazar complains about the city being short-staffed in the finance department when she is the reason, the common denominator. The city has backed itself into a corner by allowing this consultant to take hold while basically trying to make herself indispensable. If the city's management knew what they were doing, they would not have let this happen, all at the expense of the taxpayers. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes the first public comment. I'll move to the next one. Okay, the next public comment is from Marilyn Chang, 16319 Northwest 17th Court, Pembroke Pines, Florida. I worked for the city for 13 years with the last 7 years in the finance department. I abruptly resigned last August immediately after what I consider, among many other complaints, an unfair performance evaluation which was conducted by Geraldine Lazar in the presence of a very loud and verbally abusive George Ellis, assistant city manager. Interestingly enough, the assistant city manager was present at only 2 finance staff performance evaluations, not all. However, I was not the only one. Ms. Lazar also gave mediocre evaluations to 2 other finance staff members who have also resigned. They too worked long and exhausting hours to complete the 2018 audit and were also promised comp hours, which were never received. We worked every weekday and on the weekends, even during the time when the city was completely closed to the public due to COVID-19. It is interesting to note that our work performance was not in question prior to the evaluations and was not good enough after the audit was completed and issued. The commission does not need more warnings about the completion of the audits and the urgent need for a finance director. I know how much work needs to be done to complete the audits, a large portion being manually. And in my humble opinion, there is no way that they can be done on time. It was consistent, nonstop hard work when staff was available, so I cannot imagine what is going to happen now without adequate staff. Additionally, when Tri-Merge Consulting Group was contracted with the city in 2017, a major part of the scope of work as outlined in the contract was that Tri-Merge consultants would take care of the fixed asset inventory issues. This was never done, and now the city has to outsource this service 4 years later and with over $1 million already spent on consultant fees. Finally, management is using the services of an independent contractor who, in the performance of her duties, utilizes your office and equipment, has access to your bank accounts to make payments and conduct other business transactions. She also supervises staff and has 100% of her work controlled by management. A few years ago, the city reclassified the working status of the building inspectors who were initially on board as independent contractors. Ms. Lassar will be able to provide additional information. Thank you for your time. And Mr. Mayor, we have one more public comment. This is from Carlos Martinez Pena, 2523 Opa-locka Boulevard, Opa-locka, Florida. Good afternoon. I am a reporter from South Florida Media Network, and I am writing an article about the distribution of vaccines for COVID-19 in the area of Opa-locka. First question, I would like to know why by the end of January in Opa-locka, only 2% of the, I'm sorry, that was for the previous one. Okay, first question, I would like to know why by the end of January in Opa-locka, only 2% of the senior population was vaccinated, unlike other wealthier zip codes where almost 50% of the population were vaccinated. Example, Fisher Island. Second question, what are you doing in order to accelerate the process of providing more vaccines to the senior population? And that concludes the public comments, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public comments is open.
Good evening. My name is David Sutton, 2375 Superior Street, Opa-locka, Florida. First of all, I want to ask, who is the city manager? Mr. Teller. Who is the city manager? I'm asking. My man right there. Okay. All right. I want to know what since y'all been in here, what have been documented of what y'all have been doing for the city of Opa-locka? Because what I'm looking at, I work for the city of Miami Gardens. Everything has been documented, and you will see things that have been done. We have a canal, Nathan Beyond School, that ain't never clean. Trash everywhere, bottles everywhere. I don't know who's the public works director, but y'all need to get on top of that ASAP. You got your code enforcement ride around, they find everybody doing everything, you know what I'm saying? But I don't see nobody doing nothing around in Opa-locka. Ain't no trees getting trimmed that the city of Opa-locka been planting. You know what I'm saying? I got a street, I stay on 2375 Superior Street on the corner that we have like at least 50, I ain't gonna say 50, I am over exaggerating, at least 20 accidents a year. That I've been asking for a four-way stop sign or someone come down the street and cut the trees back out the swell area for people who stop running the stop sign and getting hit. Roads needs to be fixed around there, potholes. I see y'all doing a little road work around here and things like that. But at the end of the day, y'all done been here going on 2 years. Quote, I ain't been here for a while. But we need to see some progress going on in Opa-locka. You know what I'm saying? We paying taxes. Things ain't getting moved around here. You know what I'm saying? I keep hearing about the police and this and that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we got residents that stay here. Crime gonna happen regardless of what. But what y'all gonna fix around here? Because it's like the same old thing keep going on. Nothing. It's nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Teller, I got a lot of people to get behind you and vote for you. You know what I'm saying, my brother? But at the end of the day, it's nothing going on. We need to see change. Ain't no change going around here, man. And I hate to say it like this here. I work for Miami Gardens. You know what I'm saying? We ain't the best city, but you saw a lot of change in the city. That's what I'm gonna basically say. I'm gonna put it like that. Things get moved around there when it's time to get moved. We need more public workers. I don't see no workers. I see the same people every time. I just laugh because I'm trying to figure out how you run a city with these little bit of people. See, that's on the city manager right there. Because at the end of the day, we paying taxpayer dollars to pay this brother and his assistant You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he was here the last time I came here, but he's a new face to me. Him and the other brother. We got to get some change going on around here, because at the end of the day, guess what's gonna happen? This is my theory. Y'all gonna let the city of Miami-Dade County come take the city right from up under y'all. We got to tighten up, brother.
Gotcha.
Brothers and sisters and
Thank you.
everything, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna leave that right there to the next meeting. Y'all have a blessed day and y'all be safe.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Mangum. I live at 1105 Sherrard Avenue. And I just wanted to come tonight to lend my support. This is often a very thankless position to be in when you talk about government at any level. The young brother before me spoke about change. Change happens incrementally. And I see the change. Many of you have had conversations with on my porch about the change that needed to happen here in the city, and I see you working towards that. And I appreciate that as a citizen. For far too long, we've had people come and fleece this city and talk about change and give us all of these wonderful dreams about what change can be, but nothing actually happened. See, I've been a resident here for some 40 years. So I know what the city was. I know what the city can be. And I just want to thank you for taking the time, having the patience, having the wherewithal, despite whatever criticisms you might come up against, to stand in the fight and do what you know needs to happen here for the citizens of this city. And I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I volunteer here in the city. I'm part of one of the boards. I come out and I do what I need to do in order to make sure that this city progresses. And I just want to thank you again for giving your time, your talent, and your treasure to make sure that this city moves forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Adrienne White. I reside at 1100 Sherrard Avenue. I am here to as well encourage you. I know that you get a lot of negativity and not a lot of just backlashing and just disparaging comments.
Hold on one moment, ma'am. We hear some background noise. Could we take our conversations outside the room for a moment? Thank you. Go ahead.
But I just want to as well encourage you. I wanted to let you know that I as well grew up here in Opa-locka, 40 years. And I grew up with Vice Mayor Williams. She stayed on the next street. We played together as kids. And then growing up 40 years later, just seeing her here and having the passion to want to come and give back to our city, our beloved city. I love Opa-locka, and I know that she does as well. And so I'm here to back you, to back all of you, because we know that you're going to do some great things for our city. The residents, we will also be very, we expect that you all will represent us with everything that you have. We expect that from you. Also expect that we're going to come and make sure that you're accountable for everything. I do also want to start helping, volunteering, doing as much as I can to be of service. But I just want you all to know that we do have your back. We thank you, very proud of you, and keep going, because I know that you have the passion. I know that you have lots of ideas, and we need new voices, new eyes, new ears, new ideas to bring the city up to where we used to be. And I know that we could do it, so let's just keep fighting on. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I want to address the city. I want to ask
the city, according to the city charter, for 3 extra minutes. The only way that I could get that is through the blessing of the commission.
My colleagues want to grant 3 extra minutes for Mr. Dennis. All right, sir. You may
Commissioner,
speak. Just please speak into the mic. We can't hear. We can barely hear you.
I apologize, Vice Mayor. I'm sorry. I want to address the Opa-locka CDC issue. And with all the programs that the Opa-locka CDC has, it was something that I was taught by my mentor, John Riley. Politics and BS got 8 letters in it. When you listen to all the programs that this Opa-locka CDC has on the city of Opa-locka, that is millions of dollars that we're talking about for years. The Opa-locka CDC and Willie Logan owes this city $300,000. Pay it. I could take $300,000 that he give you and show you exactly how to use it, and it'll benefit the youth in this city. Here's an organization that's getting millions of dollars, and you hear the resume of them saying they are getting millions of dollars, but yet it still want to live rent-free in Town Center 1, now known as Opa-locka City Hall. There's a position that you all have been put in that's very precarious, because we know that Mr. Logan donates to many campaigns. But now the position that you've been put in is, who do you work for? The city of Opa-locka or Willie Logan? The gentleman before spoke about the dissolvement of the city. Let us not forget that's still on the table in Tallahassee, and people still want to get it. Take this city from all sides. So if $300,000 fee that's owed to the city and the millage rated at the highest that it could go, that you all feel like you want to let slide, you could best believe that you're going to be all over the news, and there it is, the same game but new faces. All the great things that Vice Chairman of the Miami-Dade County Commissioner, Oliver Gilbert, spoke about wouldn't even materialize in the city because of what the presentation of Mr. Logan and what they say that they are doing. But with all the money that they're getting, still have not shelled out $300,000. When you look at that and you analyze the history of Mr. Logan, who was the youngest mayor in the city of Opa-locka, he has had that CDC so long under his tutelage. There's no reason why the $300,000 shouldn't be paid. Mr. Manager, I want to commend you on your effort and everything that you've done in bringing this information to light. When our kids are being gunned down and we don't know where we need to go and we don't know who's doing what and all this stuff going on and all these wonderful things that they got going on in the city of Opa-locka, yet it's still our citizens make the news. We're no different than Overtown, Miami Gardens, which the kids call Murder Garden, Liberty City, Brownsville, Little Haiti, Cutler Ridge, Chocolate City, and nowhere else. But the benefit of the city of Opa-locka is it's its own entity. Ladies and gentlemen, you was elected by the citizens of this city to take care of its business. You decided to bring in a new manager to take care of the business of this city. And so far, job well done. I'm going to close with this. In the movie The Godfather, there's a conversation going on between Don Corleone and his son, Sonny. And he says to Sonny, never put your personal feelings in the business. We got conflicts up here of interest. We know about conversations and meetings that's going on in every place in the city. But I will say this, there is safety in a multitude of counselors.
$300,000 is owed to the city. Don't make the news by giving it away.
Dottie Johnson, 137 East Superior Street. Good afternoon to the mayor, the vice mayor, and the commission and staff. I want to, if I can be provided a copy of the bylaws for the CRA. I would like to also get a copy of the annual report, because since the existing of this committee or this board, there has been no change of board members. And since we are smarter than a fifth grader, we know and can connect the dots of the relationship with previous and current. That's all I'm gonna put on the record. Through the commission to the city manager, excellent, excellent choice of the chief. And I would like to suggest, strongly suggest to the commission, some of his initial and his community dialogue was creating and bringing back, because it's already on the book, we had 7 crime stop programs. He want to bring that back. I think we should give him a chance to do some of his initiatives. So I strongly ask that you all look at that. I would like to know, when did the charter change? Because it appears from time to time there's a strong mayor. My understanding of the mayor and the vice mayor, it's because you got more votes, you become the vice mayor. The mayor is just to preside the meeting. It's not like you have all the decision. And I see some of the speakers that come up, they always allude to the mayor. But what about the rest? What about the rest of you all, whether you cheated to get in here or not? But what about you? Because we're going to ensure what happened in 18 and 20, it's not gonna happen in 22, boo. It's not gonna happen. Us fifth graders gonna be smart, and we're gonna educate the citizens. So we are creating a report card. And I've heard from the dais, promises made, promises kept. Is there a strong possibility we can get some of those promises that you guys made? Because now we have the tape from 18, from the debate that was at the church in here, and we want to bring that together to create a report card. Because truly enough, it's not going to happen again. Not on our watch. Let me tell you about economic development. Opa-locka has nothing to do, the city of Opa-locka has nothing to do with the executive airport. I want to tell you a little story, because I've served on my resume, national, state, and local. Zip codes, none of you guys up there can tell me anything, nor the audience in the back can tell me anything about zip codes. But let me tell you what, one of your biggest customers or businesses, they use these zip codes. Is that time up?
Yes.
75%, can I ask for additional time?
You can wrap up your statements, please.
I appreciate it. 3305455 and 56 is known in the post office as Opa-locka. But I find out through being involved with National Hub, we have apartments that sit in Miami Garden. But in Washington, D.C., do you know where it says? City of Opa-locka. Let me tell you what I took advantage of. You know Target on 57th Avenue? They had a big old sign said by Starbucks in there, Opa-locka. And guess what? After doing some probing and some investigation, they are no longer located in Opa-locka. They're part of Miami Lakes. So I say this, you can fool some of the people, and you know what to say to fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. May God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye. Thank you for the time.
Since forum is open. Citizens.
Good evening, Natasha Irvin, 670 Dunat Avenue. Mr. Pate, thank you for showing me that citizens matter. I appreciate you inviting me to come and meet the new chief. I love him already. Can't wait to work with him. He's looking forward to working with us in the community, and the community is ready to work with him as well. Thank you so much. I pay a lot of taxes in this city. I have commercial property here as well as my residences. And I have to pay that regardless of what it has to be paid. But to go up on my property taxes when we have a company that owe us, that could have paid us that money, and we didn't have to go up on the taxes, don't like that. Don't like that. Not at all. Because they could pay us. They're making money. They can pay us. We need our money. And hopefully we would pursue our money because we need it. We need it. Everybody wants to say what they do for Opa-locka, what they do for Opa-locka, but they're looking for something for free. And nobody comes here, they get a paycheck. They get a paycheck. They getting paid, a lot of them, except for me and my crew, they get paid for everything that they do here in Opa-locka. They receive a paycheck every 2 weeks, if not once a month. So looking for something free, we need to stop that. We need to stop that. Everybody's saying they're doing this, they're doing that. A lot of the times I hear people doing so much stuff, I don't know where they're doing that. And it's not just for Opa-locka, it's for anybody. I have an issue with that too. Also, I'm gonna ask that you guys maybe look at the signage that's on the records. A lot of business owners, the few owners that I've had conversations with on downtown Opa-locka, they are not feeling this new signage because they're expensive. Unless you get some foolishness just to say I'm in guidelines of what the city wants. It's expensive. It's too expensive. And businesses in Opa-locka Boulevard, we're not thriving all that great because downtown Opa-locka is dead. Everybody's saying that they grew up in Opa-locka. I grew up in Opa-locka too, 1975 to present. Downtown Opa-locka is dead. And if these other cities can bring to life the dead, we can too. Wynwood is one. Wynwood was dead and they brought it alive. I would love to sit down and talk to somebody about us doing if it's not but once a month, bring downtown, Opa-locka come alive once a month or something where we can actually have, my clock didn't go off, did it? I didn't think so. Sorry, didn't hear it. So that we can do something fun in the city. Come out, sit down, enjoy ourselves. Like we need to do it. We need to do it and do it soon. And with a new police department and new police officers, we'll have police to protect us as we enjoy ourselves in the city. Thank you.
Citizens forum is open.
Lamar Cruz, 13831 Northwest 24th Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. I think I spoke the last time we spoke. I was speaking about outside help compared to inside help. We're seeing a lot of the money issues that's going on. We should be considerate and think about what I was saying the last time about getting rid of some of the old people that we hired when the old crew was here. knowing that there's some money got to be allocated somewhat to those. But the brother got up here and spoke about what the guy David got up here and spoke about earlier, was saying money in Opa-locka. And that's one of the things. If we get rid of the people that we paying the outsiders, we can hire some insiders. That bring money towards back inside of the community. Like she was just saying, come together on something. I'm willing to be one who can help invest and start inside jobs and help out, donating towards the community. I spoke with Ms. Johnson about that. Donating it to the community, I could pay into inviting some kids to work during the summer to help clean up Opa-locka. You know what I mean? We should, instead of hiring outside groups, let's try to hire the inside groups. What he was saying about Superior Street, like I said, Superior Street, the trees, you guys say that's a part of the citizens, but you planted the trees there. We should be thinking about cutting the trees and getting rid of them. I was talking to Ms. Johnson about telling that I pay for, on Superior Street and 24th Avenue, I actually pay for the speed bumps if you guys would allow me to. You know what I mean? To stop, because there's so many accidents happen in that thing. I would actually pay for it myself. Just if one of you guys could say, yeah, you know what I mean? To do that. Because we need to stop and invest into ourselves and do for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's a problem if we paying somebody outside and the money getting lost. It was happening before we voted you guys in. We expect to change now, this time. You know, let's put our foot forward on something. You know, you shouldn't be paying for a building, renting a building from somebody when you're the city, buy a building and take the money and push forward with it. Thank you.
Citizens forum is open. Citizens forum is closed. Any comments from the commission?
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor?
Mr. Mayor, in regards to our citizens talking about the trees and the four-way stop sign on Superior, is that something that we can look into? Because there was a lot of complaints about that from what I heard from citizens as well. So I'm addressing that to the manager.
Mr. Manager?
Through the mayor, Commissioner, I will have Public Works and the Police Department evaluate that area. Number one, for speed bumps. Number two, look see if there's trees overgrown covering stop signs, and there's a safety issue. That'll be done tomorrow.
Okay, and the last one about the issue with the canal. We don't clean that?
Through the mayor. So the city, I believe, and Mr. Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, Miami-Dade County was supposed to do that. And due to COVID-19, they have no estimated time that they would do it. So actually Miami-Dade County is responsible for that. Unfortunately, we're at the point where the city's gonna end up paying for it. And I'll ask the commission, once we pay for it, potentially go to Vice Chair Gilbert to see if we can get some reimbursement, because it's getting to a point where the city is gonna have to step in and get a private contractor to do it, because Miami-Dade County is their responsibility, but they're saying due to COVID, due to staff working from home, that they don't have the capabilities or resources to do it, and they cannot get an estimated time of cleanup.
Even with can we do the bare minimum or the basics, like the trash on the banks and the trash around the canal, not the actual inside the canal?
So yes, it would have to be done through an outside vendor. Safety issues in regards to that canal, our staff getting on the edge of that canal, slipping in the water or something, it's very dicey when you're talking about the city's liability insurance and having untrained staff that are not trained to actually do that, to get out there. It's going to be outside contracted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to address Manager Pate. The trees that Mr. Commissioner Taylor spoke on, can we get that, like the ball rolling on this project as soon as possible? I do understand with the canal, also with the, I think you talked about the border, where the traffic is people are getting in accidents. How do we like move this along? Because I've heard this this has been issues that's been mentioned for years. And I understand about the canal, but how do we, move some of these projects along?
Mr. Manager.
Through the mayor, I'm going to ask the Public Works Director I'm putting you on the spot, sir. You need to come up and answer some of these questions so the commission get understanding, because all I'm going to do is ask you and then go back and forth. So I'm going to just have you answer some of those vital questions.
With respect to the trees, we are in the process of doing tree trimming. We normally rent equipment. We are in the process of purchasing a man lift so we could schedule tree trimming on a recurrent basis rather than just renting a one-time vehicle. We're going to be doing this on a recurrent basis. However, it's contingent upon us obtaining labor forces to operate the Public Works Department. We're currently only staffed with 5 individuals, and most of that time is spent maintaining our medians and our parks. So once we ramp up our operations with additional staff, and we'll be able to address those concerns on a timely basis. As it relates to the canal, like the manager said, Miami-Dade County has, by ordinance, we awarded the contract for the maintenance of the canal to Miami-Dade County because it takes specially trained individuals to operate in the body of water or next to a body of water, and we do not have the manpower to do so in-house. We're exploring the opportunity of either canceling the contract or rebidding the services for a local contractor to maintain our canals within the city canal systems. I'm available to answer any other questions you may have.
Through the mayor. Madam Vice
Manager.
Mayor, as far as the manpower issues, we are working through outside resources to bring temporary workers in, attempt to hire, to transition them into the Public Works Department. We're working with multiple agencies to try to find qualified workers to bring in, even within Opa-locka. So we are looking to do that. Unfortunately, due to COVID and various other things, staffing levels have went up and down within the Public Works Department, but we're working to address those. Mr. Austin brought those concerns, and a lot of those initiatives he's aware of. So I just want to make the commission aware of those initiatives as well.
All right, wait on. Okay. Commissioner Taylor.
Only,
Austin.
Mr. Austin, I'm sorry. Yes. You talked about the tree trimming, renting the tools for the tree trimming. Is there a timeline for that?
We will address the stop signs tomorrow for that specific concern, but for the citywide tree trimming effort, we anticipate a timeline of 3 months.
In 3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Austin, since I've been on this dais, tree trimming has been a constant thing that's been brought up. And I know that last year there was a beautification plan submitted that detailed the schedule for tree trimmings and maintenance all throughout the city. Have we gotten off of that plan, and if so, why?
We've gotten off to the plan, like I said, because of the manpower issues. We cannot address both avenues of concerns, being the median maintenance as well as the tree trimming on a timely basis because of our manpower shortage.
All right, so, Mr. Manager, do we have a plan, a strategy in place to fix the employment issues that we're having and the funding issues associated with that? And if so, when will the commission be able to see it so that we can put it into our plans to approve it and move it forward?
Thank you. So as far as the employment matters, those are being currently addressed. We're bringing temporary workers in through South Florida Workforce. I know I've approved employees to come aboard, at least 2 over the last month or so. I don't know what the status they're coming on board is. I know I've approved 2 employees to come aboard, temp to hire for the city. And we're looking at other avenues as well, Mr. Mayor. Part of the problem is the pay. And so I've been working diligently with HR to go over the pay plan to bring before the commission. Hopefully within the next month, the pay plan will come before the commission because that has to be addressed. That is part of the problem. And I don't, I'm gonna have to get with the budget director, how we can incrementally kind of deal with the pay plan in a way that is fair to everybody involved and not, put a huge dent in our budget. So we're strategically kind of looking at that. As far as your beautification plan, I know the budget director and the director of public works and myself had put a section of money to the side in regards to the beautification plan. It just needs to be pushed forward if we get enough staff. I know dollars have been set aside since we talked about it last year, Mr. Mayor. So I know strategic dollars have been set to the side. The exact dollar amount I don't have on my mind right now, but I know the budget director was specifically working with Mr. Austin in regards to that. So we'll make sure we get you that number. Mr. Grice, if you can kind of write that down, we'll make sure we get you that number because I know there was a set number that was put to the side in regards to that. Did I answer all your questions, Mr. Mayor?
I believe so. Is there anything else?
Yes, I had a quick comment,
Vice Mayor
not a
Williams.
question, but a comment. I'm not sure if Mr. Manager or Mr. Austin, but I can tell you residents must see, not need or not should, but they must see work happening in the community. They need to see those projects. And that is, and as you can see, we saw or heard a recurring theme. We have a lot of residents that are not engaged, but they can see what's happening on their block, what's happening in their community. And we get judged by one tree not being trimmed or by a canal not being cleaned. And we know that we have attended a lot of meetings and workshops, and we know up here on the dais the great stuff that's happening, the work that's moving, that's being that's happening and moving forward. But they don't know that because they're gonna see a tree not being trimmed or a light bulb that's out on a street. So those are those small things that we must, we have to look after because if we don't, that's what they're going to see, our residents. So we really have to make sure we're working on those great mountains, but we have to also trim the grass in the valley. Last thing I wanted to say, this being Black History Month, and I just wanted to give a quote from the first African American woman, well, president, but his wife, Michelle Obama. When they go low, we stay high. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Burt and then Commissioner Davis.
we all said here, Mr. Manager, we addressed the trees, we addressed the streets, but I haven't heard anybody say anything about this $300,000 that the residents got up and spoke about this evening. Now, Mr. Mayor, we just had the citizens sit there and say, we don't have anybody working in the city. We don't have anybody working. But we just heard a presentation of somebody speaking about what they own in the city and how much money they're making in the city. But how somebody can be in a city building and have not paid rent for over a year to the tune of $300,000. I would like to know how that happened. I would like to know how that happened. I would like to know what is being done about it. What is being done about collecting the $300,000? Now, this is the kind of stuff that went on in the last administration. And when we got in here, we said we ran on change. The friends and family discounts were not going to exist with us. This is what we said. And now we've had a couple of citizens come before us saying that we don't have enough workers. We don't have enough workers. Nothing's going on in the city. Then we have citizens come before us and they know about. We have somebody in the city that owes the city $300,000. I would like to know how that was allowed to happen. And what are we doing about? What are we doing about it? We had to raise taxes. We had to raise taxes on our citizens for our police department. And if I'd have knew at that time that this company owed us $300,000, I would have never voted to raise taxes if I would have knew that we were not going after that money. Mr. Manager, we said we wanted a manager to run this city. We wanted a certified manager. We wanted somebody who knew what they were doing. And I can't sit here and say that knowing that you sit there and know that somebody owes this city that kind of money and took no action. I don't think it just got to be $300,000. But each day that they're there and it's not paying no rent, and we're not doing anything about it, it's going to get bigger. Now, I don't know whether it takes legislation, Mr. Manager, but I think what you need to do, either start trying to get our money back or start eviction procedures immediately. We don't need the citizens to come in here and tell us. We just need to do our job. We need to do our job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
Commissioner Burke, thank you for addressing your concerns. One of my goals coming into as the city manager of the city was to look into all liabilities of the city. And as we all are aware, in every budget year, Town Center 1, which is Opa-locka City Hall, has been losing money as far as the Town Center Fund, as far as rents owed to the city. We did last year start initial discussions with Opa-locka CDC in regards to attempting to resolve the matter. We came to a point where we were at somewhat of a solution. There were some issues there. I know it was discussed at one time to go on the agenda. We had some legislation drafted. Then issues came up as far as having a property manager and not having a proper property manager to evaluate all the leases and various different things like that. We just passed a RFP should be released already. I think last commission meeting to kind of address that concern of having a property manager to evaluate the leases and various different things like that. So the matter was, upon being addressed, we were asked for clarification. Legislation was pulled from being on the agenda at my request, because I wanted to make sure I addressed all the open concerns related to the matter. Opa-locka CDC, as the commission has been given a proper initial letter to start eviction proceedings. I'm supposed to have discussions with the chief operations officer next week to see if we can come to a conclusion or resolution to the matter. And at that point, I will make a recommendation to the commission through the city attorney on finding out if we're gonna do any type of legal action or not. I do wanna try one 100-yard pass, last ditch effort to see if we can come to a conclusion to resolve the matter without the city paying for any litigation. I know and spoke to the city attorney's office. I know they're willing and able and ready to file litigation upon my request in regards to any legal matter related to the city, specifically rent related. I just want to try this last ditch effort to see if I can avoid litigation, because I know once litigation starts, I know, I've been in government long enough, and Opa-locka CDC's been here for a while. There's relationships out there. I'm not trying to destroy any relationships. I'm not trying to cause any war against the city and Opa-locka CDC. So I'm gonna try one last mediation session to see if I can get it resolved. Upon that, Commissioner Burke, I will provide my formal recommendation by the end of next week.
Mr. Mayor. Well, Mr. Pate, I, for one, realize some of the services that Opa-locka CDC provide for some of the citizens in the city of Opa-locka. Believe me, I've been here for a while, Mr. Pate. I'm not trying to start no wars. I'm not trying to start no war between the city of Opa-locka and Opa-locka CDC. But business is business. Business is business, okay? For too long, people have been expecting everything from Opa-locka. Business is business, and like I say, we're owed $300,000. That's not a little bit of money. That's several employees. That's 3 more police officers. I'm not trying to start no war, Mr. Pate, but I think we need to handle business, and we need a timeline on this, Mr. Pate. I don't want this to linger for another year. We need a timeline on this, and this needs to be taken care of right away. If you can't come to some type of agreement with them, then you need to turn it over to the city attorney. But we need a timeline. This can linger no longer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments or questions, Citizen Forum?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll just take the mic and address the elephant in the room, since I'm probably the one who could speak to Opa-locka CDC better than anyone, because I worked there for several years and provided several services and community initiatives to the public. In no way would I support an organization, or any organization for that matter, that wasn't in the best interest of this community. And I firsthand could attest to my experience at the Opa-locka CDC and the benefits that it's provided over the years. I understand that they might have some challenges with paying their bills, and I do understand that our manager and the city has taken an official position on that matter. However, in my opinion, I wouldn't support the city in any way, granting leeway to an organization and them not paying their fair share. I do believe that's not a matter for the commission to take up, as we've alluded to several times tonight, that we don't have a strong mayor or strong political body form of government. So, the manager has spoken. He has taken his position, and we'll leave it in his hands. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments on Citizen Forum?
Mr. Mayor, just one last comment. I wanted to address Ms. Irvin, Natasha M. Irvin. When you spoke about the revitalization and having some businesses and some events in downtown Opa-locka, I wholeheartedly agree with you. We're right on the same page. I mentioned that the other day in a meeting. And I think, and I won't even say I think, I know that soon your wish will be granted, and you will see that some outdoor exposure, having just some pop-up shops or different things happening at Opa-locka, downtown Opa-locka, to just engage the citizens. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. We're definitely on the same page, and I'm excited to see that process move forward, and working with you and on the board to make that happen.
All right. Just want to address a few concerns. I'm glad to see that, Mr. Manager, you responded to the trees and the beautification plan. We look forward to seeing that. If there are concerns in terms of the canals that you believe that us as elected officials may need to have a conversation with other elected officials, please forward us a memo that details those challenges and emails and things so that we can do our due diligence and do our job as elected officials and represent the city. As it relates to this issue about whatever amount of money that's been alleged, I would like to be clear that, and Commissioner Davis stated it right, that this is not a political issue. This is not a commission issue. This is squarely a city manager responsibility. And we want to make sure that you do what we brought you here to do. Simple as that. And not let things like that even have even an assumption that there is anything has to do with politics, because that is squarely, there are many debts and liabilities that we have in the city of Opa-locka, and all those need to be addressed, so that we need to make sure that our taxpayer dollars are utilized and those that owe the city are properly addressed. So I want to make sure that that is clear. And could you provide an update, because this issue with Town Center 1 has been something that I've seen for many years here on this dais. And it was recommended in our operational audit to get a property manager. And we passed that legislation, believe a few weeks ago. When is that RFP closing? And when will that be in place so that we can put this issue to bed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to speak on the your first statement, I want to publicly say I appreciate the statements that both Commissioner Davis and the mayor made. I would like for everybody on the dais to know, to be clear, in my time here, I've never alluded to any commissioner or anybody that is a political issue. That is something that's self-manifested through the history of the city and various different things like that. I've never stated to any commissioner or any resident that my hesitation to do anything related to anybody on this dais. So I just want to just make it clear for everybody to know, because I've heard it, it's zinged across my head, but there's never been a statement that has came out my mouth that you all precluded me, or I feel pressure from somebody up here to not take action. Quite honestly, Opa-locka CDC does a lot for the city. We did have some discussions with them about 3 or 4 months ago in regards to resolving it. Other things happened. I think, Mr. Mayor, if you recall, we discussed it. We had the issue with the property manager, the leases not being uniform, and we discussed it in the agenda briefing. I pulled it. It was something that we were going to address as far as amending their rental agreement, their lease. And then there was issues in regards to a property manager. It was brought up in an agenda briefing about 6 months ago, but I pulled it. It was something that I pulled personally. There's nothing that anybody said up here. I was trying to maintain a relationship. I thought Opa-locka CDC did a lot for the city. I was trying to maintain a relationship and try to collect funds, because there is a dispute of facts between them and the city. So there's more than just the $300,000 owed. There is a dispute in regards to the lease. There's a dispute in regards to square footage. There's a dispute in regards to maintenance and repairs and rehab they did to their area. Even though they didn't get city approval and no permits, and there's no records of permits or anything like that, they went along and did it. The issue was they didn't have itemized billing. So I said, hey, submit itemized billing to me to show me, okay, where these funds went to, and maybe the city will be willing to give you a credit for the improvements that you made in certain areas of the building. So it's just not $300,000 old. There is a multitude of issues that are going on with that. The key is, it's been brought up on the dais. It's going to be addressed. And we're going to have conversations next week. And if we get to a point where conversations are futile or conversations break down, then I will seek the assistance of the city attorney to file litigation. And that will be decided, decision will be made by next Friday. The commission will get a formal email, a memorandum in regards to the matter, as far as a formal update. Once if and when I decide to turn it over to the city attorney or what my final conclusion is. But I just want to make it clear, never has it came out the city manager's mouth that anybody on this day has precluded me or stopped me from doing my job. I actually say opposite. You all let me do my job. We may agree to disagree up here, but you all allow me to do my job freely and openly, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
But Mr. Mayor, was there something else? I think you asked 2 questions.
No, sir, that's it.
Is just it?
Thank you.
Okay. And may I comment after the commission as far as citizens forum? I do have some comments in regards to citizens forum.
Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Just one thing, this whole, another elephant in the room, this whole finance fiasco about these comments being made by the finance department. I've sat here several meetings, and we hear public comments in regards to the finance department, and I've laid and sat silent and just allowed the comments to be made. I just want to remind the public, the commission knows this already, so this is not new. We're under financial emergency. We're under oversight by the state of Florida. Ms. Lazar's bills are reviewed by the state of Florida. Her contract is reviewed by the state of Florida. Her performance is reviewed by the state of Florida on a monthly basis. We have weekly meetings with the state of Florida with Ms. Lazar, myself, the assistant city manager, and the budget director every Friday. The city's in financial emergency. Our expenditures are under review. They keep hearing this about Ms. Lazar is getting ridiculous. And I know they always use Mr. Ellis as the heavy because he attended the staff meetings. He helped me with the day-to-day, specifically with the finance department. Okay? Enough is enough here. Okay? I thank the employees for their service to the city. I appreciate them sincerely. But when does this stop? When does this stop? I will tell you, I'm in conversations now with the state. We'll be doing a national search for a finance director. Nobody in South Florida wants the job. I've talked to candidates that have applied. I've talked to candidates in the area. Nobody wants to come here. We're in financial emergency. Nobody wants to put their CPA at risk. Nobody wants to come here. If they want to come, and the people that want to come here, they want $200,000 a year. We will do a national search for a finance director, and we'll come to a conclusion on this matter. Until then, Ms. Lazar is going to be here. Trust me as I say this. Ms. Lazar don't want to be here, okay? She's tired of getting beat up. She wants to transition to finance director. She wants to remain with the city as a supporting role and not running the finance department. She said it openly in several staff meetings. She has said it openly to me. This woman is not exploiting the city. She's not taking the city's money. Unfortunately, she has to bring on staff to do so. I'm trying to maintain the staff that I have here now. But all this rhetoric that's being said at every single commission meeting is discouraging the staff, makes them don't want to be here. Then they start having thought processes in regards to Ms. Lazar that are not they are false in nature. Nobody's creating no environment. I'm the city manager. If that was the case, it would be addressed. It's like I address any other employee issue in the city. I hire and fire all the time. Everybody knows this. So I just want to make it clear that we'll be doing a national search for a finance director. And listen, if you're upset with the city, if you feel you have a claim, do what you have to do. There's appropriate authorities out there, the EEOC. You can file a lawsuit. And I've never made that statement in any staff meeting. Okay? But do what you need to do towards the city. Let's do it and let's move forward. All this talking, let's stop. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I know you want to move on.
Vice Mayor Williams.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Mr. Manager. Is it possible to, and I'm new here, and it's frustrating. Is it possible to cease and desist? Is that something that we can do? I can tell you, and I just want to publicly say to Ms. Lazier, kudos, bravo, for the beat up that she continues to take every commission meeting. I can tell you, I know how she feels, and but just to stay high, to continue to stay high and do not go low. And I think that that is an amazing character, a testament to her character and who she is, to continue to do the great work that she's doing in the finance department, even though, and like I said, I understand conspiracy theories continue to fly around each and every commission meeting about her and others. So I wish we can do some type of cease and desist so that we can, a letter or something. And I'm just giving that to you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, we have to get to the business.
Okay,
y'all,
yeah,
all right?
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, Commissioner Burke. All right, let's move on to our agenda items, action item 13.1. Madam Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the city manager to develop and implement a Crime Stoppers program, No More Trash, to deter illegal dumping in the city of Opa-locka, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Vice Mayor Williams.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Vice Mayor, you want to introduce? Madam Clerk?
I provided a substitute item, and I believe the title is different.
All right, Madam Attorney, could you have that item? Could you read that into the record? And we will, can y'all recall your motions? Commissioner Taylor and Burke,
Yeah,
recall your motions and
okay, here we go.
call your second and motion.
Recall.
Okay, thank you. Madam Attorney, could you reread the proper resolution?
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, directing the city manager to develop and implement a Crime Stoppers program, Opa-locka, Keep It Clean, to deter illegal dumping in the city of Opa-locka, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Vice Mayor Williams.
You have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Burke, second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Vice Mayor, want to introduce the item?
I will, and I will be brief. However, I can tell you this, I want to thank Mr. Austin, the city manager's office, Ms. Lawson, for Ms. Flores, for continuing to work with me as we move this item. This is near and dear to my heart because growing up in Opa-locka, born and raised, dumping has always been an issue, and I've mentioned that before. And if we're going to talk about beautification projects, this is one that is that we need to make sure we take the bull by the horns. So this item is asking for the community's assistance if they see a perpetrator dumping in the city and that perpetrator is prosecuted, then we will, and some steps that is connected to the resolution, then there is a possibility for a reward. And which is why it's a Crime Stoppers like program. I would, however, like to get the commission's feedback on this item because I don't want it to just be something that that I see my vision, but I would like to have your feedback, ask questions, and then we can just make this resolution better.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Any comments and questions on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Davis?
thank you. Thank you to Vice Mayor Williams for profiting the item. I see that it was recommended from the manager's office. And as we know, illegal dumping and just addressing these sort of eyesores in our community has been an issue for some time. To Vice Mayor, I like the program. I do think we need to send a strong message to our community and those perpetrators that do violate our code and dump in our communities. You know, I, for one, actually have 2 illegal dumping signs, like, you know, to deter those perpetrators in the perimeter of my home. So, you know, I share those experiences firsthand. But I must admit, and maybe the mayor could also attest to this, is that over the years, you know, it was a really big problem at first. But actually, I can kind of see the curbing of illegal dumping and that sort of thing happening in our communities with the signage and enforcement from the code department. When looking at the allocation, I guess $10,000, you know, is not, again, a lot of money. Again, we're only talking about $10,000 to pretty much run a program that will, you know, prevent something greater. In my opinion, I like the program, but when I look at $10,000 and I look at our city, you know, I really understand that we have only a fixed amount of resources. So to me, I believe, you know, if we're gonna take $10,000 out of the budget, you know, given the recent hike in public safety and some of the crime issues, you know, that we experienced recently, you know, I see that the program was approved, not approved, but recommended through the manager's office, but I would much rather, you know, see more of a comprehensive program to, you know, address the violence and public safety issues. So while I do think it's a great idea, I must admit that if I'm going to support an item that is in the amount of $10,000, you know, in the middle of a pretty much public safety crisis, you know, I want to be sure that we do have, you know, more money in the budget. And I don't know if I have to proffer the item on the future, you know, on the future agenda items and that sort of thing to get consensus. But to me, the priority, in my opinion at least, would be public safety as opposed to illegal dumping. And one of the reasons I say that is because I just recently did some work to my home where I replaced the fascia boards. So I had to, you know, put out wood in front of my yard, and I think Miami-Dade County was out the next day with a fine and a notice, and I was like, wow, you know, that's quick. So, you know, I just don't, you know, if I had to base it on need and I had to base it on a limited amount of priorities, I would say that the caveat would be public safety, and I would much rather see those funds addressed there. Not saying I'm, you know, opposed to the item, but if we support it tonight, I want to be sure that there is money available to address the crime and violence issues that we've been recently experiencing. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Burke.
you know, illegal dumping has been a problem in our city for years. And I thought at one time we had an illegal dumping policy, but when I checked with the city clerk, she said she couldn't find it. So I would like to thank the vice mayor for having this vision, because I was going up that service road right off of 37th Avenue this morning, and I seen a freshly dumped, looked like somebody tore up a whole bathroom and just dumped all the tile on the side. I support this, and I think it's needed, but I think we might gonna have to go a little further than this. I think we might gonna have to install some cameras for it to be extremely successful. Because we still have a lot of people in the city, even with the money incentive, that don't want to get involved. So thank you, Vice Mayor Williams. This was a good vision. But like I said, I thought we already had one, but the city clerk said she couldn't find it, so we have one now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Taylor?
Vice Mayor, I love the idea for the illegal dumping program. I think it's a great idea. But I do have to agree, I support it, but I do have to agree with my colleague in regards to, are we financially stable to handle this program at this present moment? So if, I guess the manager can reassure that, 'cause like you said, $10,000 is a lot of money in this climate.
So, Mr. Manager, I know that one of your responsibilities on all legislation is to provide a cover memo and also a financial analysis and impact. I do not see that on this item. Where is that analysis? Because I think that's the foundation of what the concern is at the moment.
I have no idea, Mr. Mayor. I'm pretty sure I saw one and signed one. I don't know if where it went. And it's now probably, I don't know, clerk is probably the error on my office because I know I signed one. So I don't know what occurred with that. I know we've made a lot of changes. There were some changes in language and it kind of went back and forth. Then I know Madam Vice Mayor was going to decide to defer the item to make some additional changes. And I think the data in the memo changed again. And so, Mr. Mayor, please excuse me. You know, that's not my custom to provide you all with nothing with a cover memo. I will look and see what a breakdown happened is. I will tell you, just to ease everybody's conscience, that Madam Vice Mayor met with the budget director, Mr. Austin, Ms. Lawson, Mr. Ellis on Zoom to go over this whole program. And the budget director did set aside $10,000 for her program. So it is fully funded. But I will figure out what happened with the cover memo and why it's not provided.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I know that this is a substitute item, but in the agenda package, there is an agenda cover memo with the item that reflects the $10,000 that Mr. Manager just spoke about.
Okay. Yeah, I did not bring my cover memo. My agenda, well, this agenda to it. So let me take a look at that. Yeah, I made a mistake and got that one. All right. So this is part of the, all right.
Mr. Mayor.
Did this, okay, all right, hold on. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I want to be clear. It is my intent, and I think I did not state that first. It is my intent to defer this item, not to vote on the item. What I wanted for us to do is discuss the item to make it crystal clear, and succinct. So thank you all so much for your comments, and that's what I wanted, is for us to discuss it and get more input so that we can really make it the best agenda item it could be.
If I may add some clarity for the.
Hold on. Are you done? Okay, all right. Mr. Austin?
The $10,000 being proffered here for this program will be taken out of the solid waste collection fund that we use for payment of illegal dumping and things like that. So we offering the $10,000 to try and offset the expenditure of paying for illegal dumping. So it's a part of our sanitation fund where the funds are going to be utilized for the payment of any apprehension of perpetrators.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. That does bring clarity to this discussion. If this item is going to be deferred, then I definitely want to make sure that that information that was provided by Mr. Austin is within the memo. What I just saw did not include that, and I would like to make sure that that is clear. If we're going to take funding from something that that is very clear. In regards to this item, Madam Vice Mayor, thank you for bringing this to this commission and this idea, because this is what another step in the piece of the puzzle that we need to beautify this city. And I know that we have, as Commissioner Davis spoke about, made significant, I wouldn't say significant, we made some progress. We definitely made some progress. That was one of the first, literally the first, when I know I spoke last time, I said a lot of my goals were accomplished. One of those were the trash, and making sure our trash is picked up on time. And then when we had those issues with Miami-Dade County, we were able to get them to have a code enforcement officer specifically for Opa-locka area, which is how the Commissioner Davis say how quickly they are with finding people in that regard. But there are limitations to that because and the people who dump understands that, while the people they can find people who have dumps on their property. If they dump it in a way that's on the city's area, it's a little more difficult for them to take care of. Many times we have to do that. So this program adds another layer of protection. I think we should engage our residents in helping us because we cannot have eyes everywhere as a government, and this gives that incentive to ensure that that is taken care of. My I guess questions in relation to this are twofold. In regards, number one, to the hotline. I know the hotline, and then also we spoke about, and I've received reports. I was mentioned in our State of the City address about this See Click Fix app that would help in that process. So I'm looking at this and seeing that there's a hotline. I know we have supposed to have a call center and this See Click Fix app, but I don't see that kind of reflected in this policy. Are those two tools going to be separate, or can we make sure that all of these efforts are combined, including the second point of PR campaign, to ensure that the citizens understand that? And if there's any costs associated with that, I definitely want to see that in this legislation so that we can make sure it is paid for, funded, and will be executed when we pass it as a commission. So, Ms. Manager, if you can address those concerns, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, the hotline will be fully active at the time of activation. IT has assured me of that. C-Click Fix is in finalization. Actually, it's about to be up and running. We're just dealing with some design issues that we just resolved. Finalizing the design that Ms. Mockins did for the app. So that's been finalized. There's an issue with the Apple development agreement that Nelson needs to get from Apple that we're trying to get taken care of. So C-Click Fix will be a reality soon because Nelson beats me up and makes sure he sends me reminders in regards to it. So that is something that's coming to fruition. That is something that will happen. The timeline is waiting on Apple. We got the design down. We got the name down. So we figured that out. And the hotline will be active. So upon this legislation being active, we'll do that. And as far as a PR campaign, if that's the commission's will to do that, we will make sure, we surely will send this to Ms. Mockins and make sure there's an appropriate PR campaign that, since the vice mayor is sponsoring, that she will oversee to make sure that it, with me, to make sure that it is successful in nature.
So I guess little technical detail is that in section 2 procedure says all calls shall be received by the city public works illegal dumping hotline at 305 XXX. And I know one of the concerns that we've raised quite a bit over the past few years is having these different numbers and people not being able to know. And the foundation for this call center was having one number that citizens can call at all times and get directed to the appropriate personnel, the appropriate issues, and all those things. And this See Click Fix being an app aspect of it. So I just want to make sure all those are in line and in together because in the past, sometimes these things be a little in different places. And it will make sure that this is successful if everything is all in alignment. So that's what I want to see, and I want to see if that can be reflected in this policy, so that we know that that is the policy of Opa-locka to do so in that regard. And that's my suggestion, Madam Vice Mayor.
Through the mayor, sorry, not speaking to you directly, Mr. Mayor, my apologies. I'm sure Mr. Rodriguez heard you loud and clear, and we'll make sure that those technical issues are addressed so there won't be any duplication number or multiple numbers somebody calls and various different things like that. We will try to add it into the workflow some type of way. Instead of somebody sitting online and hearing 100 prompts. And I'm sure if Mr. Rodriguez would run a report, I'm sure a lot of people hit 0 before the prompts even go through. So we would have to kind of figure that out and kind of work through that, because they may not even wait online to hear those prompts. So I don't know if we'll just post a direct number and have it on the prompts anyway, or various different things like that. Maybe post 2 numbers, the city's main number and another number, so they can call both if they want to listen to the prompts. We'll figure it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll figure it out, put in legislation policy so we can pass it. I'll be more than happy. So at the moment, Madam Vice Mayor, so you're going to defer this item?
Yes, I am going to defer it. And thank you all. You all were right on where I was with to just really make it solid. I don't have a date, a timeline. I just want to make sure that when we pass it, we know that it is a solid plan that we can, at the end of the day, say that we're comfortable. And we also know that this legislation is going to spiral with other things that we plan to do, the beautification project, all that will be able to sit up under this legislation. So thank you all so much. But yes, I will defer it.
All right. Item is deferred. Madam Attorney, 14-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, authorizing the city manager to accept a grant from the Florida Department of Transportation for a new Opa-locka community bus route in an amount of up to $225,121, authorizing funding match from the City of Opa-locka for the program, further authorizing the city manager to execute the assistance grant form, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
All right, do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the grant, transportation grant in regards to the second bus route. The city has been very diligently looking, and based on the commission's will and motivation to open up the second bus route, we have located funding to fund the second bus route. I'll ask Mr. Anthony to come on the line to kind of express kind of talk about the funding, where we found it from, kind of where we're looking in the next 3 years. Mr. Anthony?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Manager. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Administrative point first, if I may. In the short title, I think I just heard that the grant is $225,000. I think the supporting documentation will indicate that it's $255,000. So just wanted to bring up now, just so in case that's going to create any problems as we move forward on this. Very briefly, I'm going to give you the background of what's going on. It could get a little wonky. I'm going to do my best not to get there. I think people know right now the city has one bus route. That is funded by a program that's funded by the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, which is a county program to improve transportation throughout the county. I mention that because it's going to play a key role in how we think what we're going to recommend to fund the second route. Right now, as I said, the city has one bus route, basically funded by the Citizen Independent Transportation Trust, which is also known as CITT, and probably you hear that more frequently than the long name. Just to put in perspective, right now the city is paying about $210,000 a year to operate that bus route. I will get back to that in a moment because it gets a little bit convoluted, but I'll do my best to keep it straight. The second bus route, or the grant, is, as was mentioned, is $255,000. The original estimate for a second bus route is $510,000. That could be lower. That was kind of a top number that we started with, but that's the number that we're looking at right now. The grant is at the moment stated as a one-year grant. The belief is it's a 3-year grant, but that has not been firmly confirmed yet. So that we're working a little bit on speculation, but that's what we think is going to be the basis of the funding. The issues that this came before you on the 13th of January. At the time, we had recommended that it not be accepted because to match a grant that could be $255,000 for 3 years would mean that the city would have to come up with $765,000 in terms of matching funds. And at that point, I was not as familiar with the CITT as I am now, and it does offer options, which I'll take you through very quickly. You probably remember, I think it's been discussed, we get money from CITT at this point after we get successful audits with them. There was a successful audit for FY18 that was completed in the last couple of months. As the interim finance director indicated, that did release $261,000. Those are unbudgeted funds. The issue then becomes that money can be used for the first year match. So then we have to get into the second and the third year. It gets a little bit convoluted at this point. I'll do my best. Part of that audit pointed out the fact that in addition to the $261,000 that was going to be released for use now, and it turns out to be used, if you so approve, to match the first year. In addition, there is $469,000 that they have reserved for us for future bus transportation. Right now, as I said a moment ago, it's costing us $210,000 a year to operate the bus that we have in service at this time. The math that's involved with it, the CITT at the moment is distributing around $750,000 a year to us. 150 more or less is targeted for the transportation, the bus that is, and the other 600,000 is targeted for roadway and sidewalk improvement. So right now they're targeting $150,000 a year for our use. We're spending $210,000. We have a surplus on the books of $469,000 that can be used to fund future bus operations. If we remain with only one bus, we're going to have on average a $60,000 deficit going forward. That the funds available, $469,000, would probably last to about FY26. What we are proposing, if for the second year of funding, is to use $250,000 of that for the second year match. The good news is that would take care of the second year match. The bad news is that would take complete care of the surplus that we have on the books with them. So the proposition for funding the second year is to use the surplus that's on the CITT books. Third year, then at this point, we would have to fund the $60,000 deficit that we've been experiencing on the first route, and also the $255,000 match for the second route. Total somewhere around a little over $300,000. As I said, they do distribute $750,000 a year, $600,000 which is meant for roadway work, sidewalks, and so forth. It is staff's recommendation that by the time we get to FY '23, the road restoration and sidewalks will be at a point where it's going to be less necessary to pour quite so much money into it. So the recommendation for the third year of funding would be to reprogram about $310,000 out of what was otherwise would be used for roadway sidewalk improvement, use that for the third year of the match. Now, these are all numbers that are somewhat assumption bound. If it becomes apparent that these assumptions are going to change as we move forward, then the second bus route would have to be revisited. But at the moment, that is the proposal in the third year, to use about $310,000 of what would not normally be used for roadway and sidewalk. Just put that in perspective, $310,000 would take care of about 2.5 miles of resurfacing a 2-lane road, or possibly 2 miles in installation new sidewalk. But we feel it's the appropriate trade-off to make for the third year. Hopefully that did not get too confusing. If I confused you, I do apologize, and I stand ready to try to undo the damage I might have done and answer any other questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager.
to not bring any anxiety to the commission, the city manager's office fully recommends Mr. Anathan and Mr. Austin's recommendation, because I know when we talk about moving money from sidewalks and roads, we get a little nervous. And, I know that's been like one of the 4 major challenges and various different things like that. I think we'll be at a point where we've done so many roads and streets, we can kind of refocus, right? Those funds. We're not saying we're not going to do any roads and streets. You're not going to see any work done in the third year. It's just not going to be as aggressive as this year and next year may be concerned. It's not going to be as aggressive. We have to look at a trade-off here. You guys, we want the second bus route. We feel like it's going to serve residents, and that's if Amazon and various businesses employ more of our residents, right? At this time, it's not very strong, but I feel the second bus route is a service that we as a community should offer to our residents and stakeholders and people that come to. We got to still think about the people that come to and through Opa-locka as well. So I know the second bus route was the will of the commission the last days before the election. I feel that that's the direction the commission wants to go strategically moving forward. So I fully recommend it. So if there's any nervousness in regards to like removing funding from roads and streets, that is my point of view. But at the end of the day, if you all feel the third year is too aggressive in regards to roads and streets and you want an additional 2.1 miles done, that there's going to be always plenty of streets to do in Opa-locka for years to come, right? If you feel that you want that aggressive push for that 2.1 miles of roads and streets and those sidewalks, then the commission's will can be voted down. But we're just trying to look holistically in regards to this. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this item?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add one point to that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr.
No, I was just going to, we do have other sources of roadway work that we get through gasoline taxes. So this is not the sole source of funding for road work going forward.
Commissioner Taylor.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Anathan or Mr. the Manager. It says that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. Okay, now in regards to the CITT with the verbiage, it says that the funds withheld will be released. Is there a timeline on when that money is going to be released? Because if we vote on it and it takes into effect tomorrow, but the money's, let's say, not released until a couple of months down the line, how is that going to?
Through the mayor?
If it is released at all.
Mr. Manager.
I'll defer that question to either Mr. Anthony or Ms. Lazar. I know Ms. Lazar works intimately with CITT, so that maybe she can answer that question, or Mr. Anthony.
If I may, very quickly, it's Bob Anderson again. It's going to take, we have to go out and identify a second bus, a new bus service for the second route and so forth. By the time that's all in place, I'm sure the finance director will back me up on it, that the $261,000 will have been provided to the city.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and guests. So I did speak with Kathy Jackson earlier today, who performed the audit of the CITT surtax dollars for the city, and she said that I should contact Mr. Toledo, the Executive Director over CITT, because we should have gotten our money already for the $261,000 that was due to the city. So I plan on reaching out to them tomorrow to find out the status of us receiving those dollars. But I don't think it'll be that long, because even last year when we received the $901,000, we were paid within 45 days, I believe, of getting the report. So I don't believe that it'll be some kind of time frame that's in excess of 30 to 60 days. I'll take any questions. Have any?
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Taylor? All right. Any other comments or questions?
I do. I know that I was going to make, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor Williams.
I will tell you, the third year does give me pause, only because I can't see the full funding of the third year. So that does give me some pause. I do understand, but my question was, we voted for a company to do grants for us, write grants. My question one, did that company get this grant? And question two, how do we ensure that the company we voted on that's going to be our grant management firm will aggressively find grants to cover year three? If they didn't find this first grant, how do we know they're going to, can we put that in their lap that they can help us, assist us in that way?
Okay, two things. This grant, I think, was in-house. It was done in-house, not through the grant writers that we just recently contract. Your futuristic question about the third year and grants, I would have Mr. Anthony answer that question because he does oversee the grant writers. This is his kind of rodeo, and I don't want to get into his pond. Mr. Anthony?
Yes, very quickly. I mean, right now, there are, the grant writer is working on grants for other departments. He has a wide list of it. I don't know if this will be a source of funding for the third year, but he has a very broad inventory of grants that he brings to our attention. It may or may not, I can't commit to it, but I know if there's anything out there, he certainly will respond to it. As the manager said, this was done in-house. It was done way before the contract was signed with the grant writing service.
All right. Any other comments or questions on this item?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Davis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want clarity around the 600,000 annually that's being provided to the city roadway improvements. Can you elaborate on that a little more, Mr. Anthony, through the mayor?
Yes, sir, if I may, through the mayor. Because we have had problems with CITT, it breaks into two parts. The monies that are received in regard to support of bus operations are funded immediately as incurred, not a problem whatsoever. The 600,000 is monies that we get after the audit is completed. In other words, they will release money related to roadway work after we've completed the audit. So if roadway work was done in FY20, for example, we're not going to see that 600,000 or whatever the number might be until that audit's done, which will probably be approaching summer or maybe slightly later. But they have been providing roughly $750,000 a year. And as I said, there's intended to be an 80-20 split or 20-80 split with 20% going to the bus, 80% going to road work. It's a little more complicated than that, but I'm trying to keep it simple. I'm not sure if I fully answered your question. If not, please give me another shot.
No, that was perfect, Mr. Addington. So that's the money that's usually withheld until the audits come in. Okay, so we do have a source of revenue for those matching funds. Thank you.
All right. Few comments, Mr. Manager. Number one, I hear Mr. Anathan clearly state that this is $255,000 grant. I see it in the budget documents, but in a few places on the resolution, I see a value of 225,000. Is that a scrivener's error or error? And if so, could you make an amendment to resolve that in the three places where it's at?
So first, it's a scrivener's error, and the resolutions don't go through three sources of review. So sorry that we all missed it, and we'll go ahead and resolve it. There'll be a scrivener's error. It's going to require a motion to fix it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so you're making an amendment to this item to reflect that we are accepting the grant of $255,000. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have that. I hear loud and clear. I think that is a accurate assessment from our staff and Mr. Manager in assessing the roles of our city and reutilizing those funds. That's part of what got us to where we are, was the renegotiation of those CITT funds so that we can allocate them to roads and streets when the bus service was not available to us. So that's been a very successful, and I'm glad to see that that planning was put in place. In regards to the third year funding, I do hear the ability for the CITT funds to fully fund it, but I will piggyback on and echo the sentiments of Vice Mayor Williams in finding funding for that. I know that that bus route connects two major institutions in the city of, near the city of Opa-locka and in the city of Opa-locka, Miami-Dade College, and also Amazon with our tri-rail. And I know that there have been dialogues already with Amazon, but I don't know where we are with that. But if we would, I would love to get any type of proposal or memo or grant write-up so that we can do our jobs as elected officials and advocate for investment of our partners in the city so that they can assist in providing this much needed service that will provide ease of access for residents to work at Amazon and also for students to go to Miami-Dade College, which are both win-win situations. So I would love to see something to that nature so that we can move that forward and cover these funds. We got 3 years to figure it out. If they can put some money in now to help us ease the budget over the next few years, or whatever the case, I think that will be very helpful for us to see that this moves forward. So with that, I don't have any further comments.
Mr. Mayor, may I? Mr. Anderson, can you write up a breakdown summary in regards to this and the need for potential grant funding for the second and third year, so the commission can have it so they can go forth and do great things and talk to their legislators and fellow legislators and see what we can get done. I know we're in conversations with Amazon. I know the county has a very strong relationship with Amazon, as is their project, and Carrie Meek Foundation and Miami-Dade College, so we can get a write-up to the commission so they can go forth and do great things. That would be wonderful.
And we do have a
Yes,
registered,
sir.
we
Noted.
have a registered lobbyist for Amazon here too. So they need to be aware of these conversations because that will bring good relationships to the city. So I hope that that is also being considered, and we leverage the relationships that they did to register with the city as a lobbyist and be more of a great steward of the city of Opa-locka. All right. Any other comments, questions on this item? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Burke,
Yes.
Mayor Pygott.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, Mr. Manager, report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple things, 2 or 3 large items I would like to discuss. Um, First, after careful deliberation, outstanding meet and greet with the police department, our residents, our employees, our local stakeholders, receiving survey comments over the last weekend through today. Um, it takes great pleasure that I push forward my recommendation for hire Mr. Stephen Barrera as the next chief of the Opa-locka Police Department. We have been in deliberations, negotiations, and he accepted the terms that the city provided through negotiation, and hopefully he'll be on board in the next month of April. It was a very difficult decision to make. I think it's the right decision for the city. And talking to Steve and listening to his philosophies on law enforcement, they very much align with my vision in moving the Opa-locka Police Department forward. I believe he's the right man for the right job at the right time and moving the department to the next direction as far as accreditation, both with the state of Florida and nationally. I think his wealth is 23 years in Jacksonville County and dealing with violent crime related matters. Everybody knows Jacksonville County, Florida is not the best place to be as far as their crime. And I think he has the 23 years of background there, as well as the background at Clay County, being assistant chief over community services and dealing with community-oriented policing and on a full-time basis there for a current county jurisdiction means a lot. I believe the city of Opa-locka needs a leader like Steve to take the department next direction, as he does have all his time in law enforcement has been with county law enforcement agencies. And that means a lot. Him being an assistant chief in a county law enforcement organization, coming up through the ranks, and now coming to a city like Opa-locka, I think his lifetime of learning in a large jurisdictional area, as well as his years of time and experience in law enforcement, will be a great value to the city. And I think it's very important. Also, I'd like to formally announce that Ms. Jenkins, Lieutenant Jenkins, Nakia Jenkins, will be promoted to the rank of Assistant Chief of Police in tandem with the Chief, Barrera, to move the department forward. I thought it was very important that the selection be done internally. It's an exempt position. And I believe she's doing a wonderful job. And I believe she can take the city in the next direction. Upon Mr. Barrera coming in as chief of police, there will be a formal ceremony that I will call a special commission meeting for, and they both will be sworn in as chief and assistant chief of the Opa-locka Police Department at the same time. The buck stops here. Hard decisions have to be made. The city needs to move forward, and we're going to move that city forward. I've invested a lot of time and energy in that police department over the last 6 or 7 months. It's time to give the reins to somebody else so I can focus on my other departments and focus on the commission priorities and kind of moving the city forward. And it's my great honor and pleasure to kind of make that formal announcement. So that's one thing. Second thing is I received an email a couple days ago from Comcast. And Lieutenant Jenkins is walking in, I put her on the spot, announced her promotion to assistant chief to the commission tonight. Along with my selections for Stephen to be the next chief of police. So that's very important. Thank you. I get an email from Comcast and say, hey, you got this cable station out here that has been inactive for years. And if is not active in the next 6 months, we're going to take that cable station back. So I've directed Mr. Rodriguez to figure out the equipment that's needed to operate this cable station, because that is a different conduit to communicate with our residents. So once Mr. Rodriguez kind of figure out that the financial liability, I'm gonna have him get with Mr. Anathan for a budget amendment that I think is greatly needed to open up this cable station and at least stream to our residents and be able to put information on there and be able to communicate at least those that have Comcast. So I think that's very important, and I'm pushing my efforts behind that to kind of move the city forward in the direction of the 21st century and being able to kind of operate that in tandem. We're gonna have to figure out who's gonna operate this cable station. Mr. Rodriguez only has so many capabilities, and I'm not gonna add another responsibility on the dozens of responsibilities that we have on it. City has a couple options. We can do another RFP. We can temporarily have Ms. Mockin's firm kind of look at it and see what her people can do as far as putting stuff on the network. It's not a full-time job. It's just somebody putting content and scheduling it to be shown. So it doesn't require anybody to be there 24/7 or a director to be there 24/7. It's basically the work she's doing already. The content is taped, it's placed on the station. Mr. Rodriguez, maybe somebody in his staff can do it, but that's something we kind of need to discuss. And in my mind, Mr. Grice, I think that's something that, and Madam Clerk, I think when I schedule these workshops of next month for strategic planning, I think that's something that kind of needs to be discussed. So if I do send an agenda out and I forget to add it, please remind me to kind of add it there so we can make sure we can discuss it further. But I think I think everybody will be in agreement. This cable station, this cable channel is worth saving, right? I think it's important. So I am going to put in the full force and effort to kind of handle that. I appreciate the residents that come up and speak to us about their expectations and seeing change in the city. Change does come slowly, but that is not an excuse. You know, I can sit here and give a myriad excuses why certain things are not happening in the city or going on. But I do have to remind everyone, including our public, that we're still in financial emergency. Any kind of change that we make in regards to initiatives eats into the 5-year plan. Then we have to every year update the 5-year plan and readjust things until the city gets development and gets additional tax revenue. We're eating into the funds to the 5-year plan. I can always divert money. If it's the will of the commission during strategic planning or a workshop or even in meetings, if it's the will of the commission to make budget amendments and make adjustments for certain initiatives, I'm fine with that. I'm not saying that cannot be done. What I'm saying is, and I even talked to Mr. Anthony, I think yesterday, instead of when we do these budget amendments and we're making major initiative changes, it's starting to look like where we're going to cut the budget. We're going to have to start cutting some budget somewhere and diverting money from one program to another. So I've asked Mr. Anthony to look at all our programs. We're halfway through the budget year. Let's see what funds have been used on what budgeted items, and we need to start shifting funding either into fund balance or into reserves or even divert it to a different program and various different things like that. So I hear our residents loud and clear, and I know we have one resident said, hey, I came up here 3 months ago and said the same thing and various different things like that. Mr. Austin hears that. I kind of had him step up and answer these questions. It takes manpower, it takes equipment, and it takes funding and movement. So at some point, I think as a commission, we all have to sit down and kind of figure out what those kind of priorities are. And if we're going to shift money for a major initiative, to trim trees and various different things like that, we need to identify where the money's coming from, and we need to identify what cuts are we going to make to kind of substantiate that. And instead of eating into fund balance and eating into the budget. So I just want to kind of say that as a point of kind of thought process when we kind of hear our residents speak. The city is not ignoring our residents at all whatsoever. Actually, very responsive to a lot of things that go on. Very responsive to a lot of things you guys say on the dais, and I take things into account. At the end of the day, I have to make decisions on the best interests of our residents and citizens, as well as the best interests of the financial security of the city, because we are in a financial emergency. And when we shift money around and we change the budget, The state may accept it. They ask their questions. They say, okay, that makes sense. Shift the money into public safety. That's fine. We shift the money to deal with certain initiatives. That's fine. But at some point, we as myself being an appointed official and the commission, along with Mr. Anathan and Jerry, need to really sit down and say, okay, where are we getting this money from? And then you all have to also realize we're in negotiation with ASME and the police department. They've had contract expired for years. They're going to ask for some type of monetary ask. It's irresponsible to say you're not getting a raise at all. You haven't gotten a raise in 10 years and you're going to continue to get zero. That would be not conducive and would not be my recommendation, because we do have to retain employees. We, as the mayor always says, people have to have a living wage, right? So we have to look at that. Our employees don't currently have a living wage, at least not our lower 1/3. Does not have a living wage. I believe we did a increase of $30,000, but employees have a living wage, and that includes the pay plan having to be presented to the commission and us figuring that out. But I really, in retrospect, cannot even present the pay plan to the commission because we're in the middle of negotiations. So to present a proposed pay plan may kind of be counterproductive of our negotiations that we're doing with both our unions. So we have to look at that as well. So that's all I have to say as far as my report, and I'll take any questions from the mayor, vice mayor, or the commission.
Any questions for the manager?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Burke?
not much of a question, yeah, but it's a question, Mr. Mayor, Manager. Our city buildings, I remember once before we used to have security. Do our police officers on the midnight shift make checks of our buildings?
Yes, they do.
Because I say that City Hall behind me, we have people living in there. I was coming through the other night. It was like 11:30. I saw a man and a woman go into, well, they came around the side to the gate, and they got in. They went into they disappeared in the compound. And when I saw Public Works cutting the grass today, I went over there and I took a look. And Mr. Mr. Manager, on the second floor of City Hall, the rest of the building is secured, but on the second floor, the boards have been taken down. And I don't know whether we have people living in there or they're going in there to do what they need to do. But that needs to be looked into. And if our buildings aren't being checked at night on the midnight shift, that needs to happen also. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Manager, do we have a sergeant at arms in the room?
Yes.
Can Sergeant Arm make sure we have the quorum? I'm hearing feedback and voices. Thank you. All right. Anything else? Any other questions for the manager?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to remind Mr. Manager, he didn't speak on one thing, and that was parks.
What's that, ma'am? What's that, Madam Vice Mayor?
Last word.
Oh, the parks, reopening.
Oh, yes. So yesterday I sent out correspondence that our parks are going to be reopened to our public, outdoors only for external activities, walking, jogging, playing half-court basketball, etc. No groups of 10 or more at any given time from sunrise to sunset. And that was effective yesterday. I asked the Parks and Recreation Department to come up with a written plan in regards to phasing that in, and I will make sure Ms. Mockins puts that information out appropriately.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. May I ask, is that going to include the kiddie park?
That's all park facilities, so external activities, et cetera, that includes in Kitty Park as well.
Okay, thank
As
you.
long as it's not more than 10 people.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the manager? All right, Mr. Manager, I have a, go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the mayor to the manager, to your comment earlier about, I guess, just looking at ways that we could cut spending and increase revenue as you and Mr. Anathan kind of comb through the budget. My hope is that, of course, public safety is a big issue in our community. So my hope is that when you are doing those investigations and you are looking at those funds, that we please, make a valiant effort to include a resolution to our public safety problem. Violence and criminal activity in this community and all communities, is a really big problem. And I think our residents and the people of this great city would really appreciate that sort of effort. So just throwing that out there, Mr. Manager. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Davis, loud and clear. That's my priority, is public safety. And like I said, we're looking at those areas currently to beef up our staff, enhance our staff, and give them a decent wage to move the city forward in the direction it needs to be in. Not saying that's stopping them doing their work, but at least it makes them a little bit happier coming to work. So I'll say that. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, a few questions. First, been driving through the city and I see that there are a few roads that were in the middle of being fixed and then they stopped. Could you please tell us what's going on with that?
What roles are you speaking on? And I'll have Mr. Austin come up and answer that question because he's monitoring that.
Yeah, there's a few, I believe. Bombing is one, golf course is another. But yeah, it just stopped. And I know that was a very quick process when they used to come in and tear up the road and pave it down. So what's going on with that?
We were backlogged in the payments to the vendor. We have identified the problem and it's being resolved with payments to the vendors. Once the payments have been issued, they will be returning to finish the process.
I am very concerned about that because that was a history that we've had here in the city of Opa-locka. And if we're going to be moving forward, we have to respect our vendors. And I thought that due to policies and procedures we've had in place under this financial oversight, that was addressed. So what are the accountability or not accountability, but what are the performance measures in place to ensure this does not happen? Like, this is a major project, and we need to make sure that, number one, they get done because there are residents whose houses are right in front of this that have to wait this long. So it has repercussions on that level to our residents. And then two, to our relationships that we have with vendors that want to do business with the city of Opa-locka, but are very afraid of financial issues. So what are we doing to make sure that that is not a problem at all? At all.
Go ahead, Ms. Wine.
So first, we've been in discussions with the state to kind of figure that out, to shorten the review process is number one. Those are ongoing discussions. Our procurement system has always been an issue. I know Mr. Anthony is kind of reviewing those things and kind of figuring out those hiccups. As far as those stoppages, I'm a little concerned as well. Expedited requests should go up. I have not seen them come across my desk, Mr. Austin, so that needs to happen at ASAP. If you have a vendor that's at the brink of stopping work, then I expect to see expedited payment requests across my desk so I can send them to the state to get appropriate payment if we know work was going to stop. Were you guys warned that they were going to stop work, or is it just something just happened?
It happened. It happened.
So there was no pre-warning. They never came and said, hey, we're going to stop work. You owe us this amount of money. You never heard anything like that.
They asked for payment and we submitted a request to the state for expedited approval. They had some concerns for the frequency of our expedited requests, and these are some of the results we received.
Okay, expedited request needs to go up. I'll deal with that part of it. Submit the expedited request
Okay.
appropriately.
Will do so.
Mr. Anathan? Mr. Anathan? Is Bob still on the Zoom, Nelson?
His audio is not on with that. So I know this is one of the concerns I know that I brought up a few weeks ago in our city manager's Monday meeting, Monday briefing I have. So I just want to make sure that this is something that's taken care of and that we address as a city. So I look forward to updates at
Yes,
our
Mr. Mayor.
upcoming meeting on Monday, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. We'll have an upcoming meeting on Monday, Mr. Mayor. Not a
All
problem.
right. That will conclude my questions for you, Mr. Manager. All right. Official board reports. Madam Attorney, do we have any Madam Clerk, do we have any official board reports?
No reports, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I would want to. All right. We'll do that later on. Future agenda items. Any future agenda items? All right. Mayor Commissioner reports. Who wants to go first? Anyone? None? Commissioner Taylor.
It's more of an announcement. On March 11th, we're having what we call Opa-locka Attacks COVID-19. And it's Ask the Experts, a panel discussion, and we're bringing in some medical professionals who's going to answer questions that the citizens may have about COVID-19 and the vaccine. So we're asking all citizens that want to participate. We do have 2 slots on the panel, but we can't choose everybody. So we'll be doing a drawing for it. Like I said, we have a doctor, 2 doctors, we have an RN, we have a couple other people that's willing to answer these questions. So we just want to engage our community and let them know about and bring awareness to COVID-19. And that's on March 11th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Any other reports?
Quick question.
Vice
Thank
Mayor
you.
Williams.
Through the mayor, thank you, Mr. Taylor, for this. This is great, and we need this. We know that this is an issue in our community, and just having, especially our seniors, understand that the vaccine and understand COVID a little bit better. So having community members talk to them is great. I did have a quick question for you, Mr. Commissioner Taylor. Did you pair up with Ms. Markin's office to do this, or did you decide to, are you like working on this project yourself?
Okay, we didn't pair up with Ms. Markins as of yet, but I went through the proper channels. I just didn't go through Ms.
Oh, no,
Markins.
that was my
what you-
question. Thank you.
But she's gonna do an additional flyer to get it on Facebook so that the community can be involved.
No, I only asked because I proffered an event way back in December and hasn't come into fruition. So, but I'm glad that you're taking a lead.
I just took the initiative.
I agree. Thank you. And I'm following your lead. Take the initiative. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other reports? All right. I do want to make sure that we as a commission host a few workshops. As you stated at the very beginning of this new commission, we want to make sure that we have some workshops that we can clearly detail out our priorities as a commission, our ideas, and put together some type of strategic plan. We owe that to the manager. It's part of his annual contract is to have that set of priorities. And we need to get that done ASAP because the window for the manager's evaluation starts March 1st and ends on April 30th. So we need to make sure that we have that in place. So I would like to, and then there have been a lot of discussions about events. Like I think the event policy is a thing we need to talk about, beautification. During our State of the City, we brought up about the HR and getting full report on that and evaluations. There's been a lot of things that we brought up, and we need to put them in some type of order and clear goals. So I'm asking if whether or not we can set up bi-weekly workshops on weeks where we don't have a commission meeting to do so, at least over the next 2 months. That means we have 4 meetings or schedule out at least 2 to 4 meetings over the, or we're probably going to need more than 2. So at least 3 to 4 meetings over the next 2 months so that we can tackle these things. We are going into almost the third quarter of our calendar fiscal year. No, we're in third quarter right now. Is that, well, hold up, what is it? It starts in October. So January.
We're in 2.
We're in 2. All right. So by the end of next 2 months, we'll literally be halfway through, and we haven't set those guidelines. So that's the urgency. And if we just continue to delay this, it can get delayed. And we also have a budget cycle that will be most likely coming online, I think March or April, when it first starts the budget process. So it's very important that we start to do these things. So I know it's a sacrifice of time, but if we're going to be effective, and as I mentioned last year, one of the main reasons why a lot of my goals as elected official have been accomplished is because of making sure things are put in the budget and staying on top of those priorities in these commission meetings and getting updates during those weekly meetings and really making sure it's staying on top. So I want to make sure that all of our goals are very clearly outlined so that we can hold each other accountable. We can, as a unit, hold manager's office accountable for all of our goals so that we can move forward. So I generally kind of clear my schedule on Wednesdays anyway. So I will propose doing these on Wednesdays where we don't have a commission meeting. But y'all let me know what works so that we can put these things on the schedule and we can get to it. So I would like my colleagues' feedback on that.
Mr. Mayor,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. As far as the workshops going forward, I'll be, I guess, more of a fan of a more definite timeline. Like if you want to do a series of 6, 7 workshops or something like that, if you kind of like want to lump them, as opposed to like, just a reoccurring like bi-weekly kind of thing. So we can kind of like, I guess, get a recommendation of the number of workshops you would like to host to ultimately accomplish, the goals of this commission. I'll be more in support of that. But Wednesdays, for me at least, works fine. I just ask that the workshops, be virtual to kind of ease the, the access of the other board members. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not talking about 6 to 7. I'm talking about just 2 to 4. And the reason why I say 2 to 4 is because I know that events is going to be probably a workshop within itself. Strategic planning is probably going to most likely be probably 2 or 3. And we still got to have that evaluation. We still got to have beautification. And so at the end of the day, we have to figure this out. And we can set some of these workshops later on, but we do need to get a few of some goals done within the next 2 months to prepare for this budget cycle and to respect the manager contract. So those things are very critical, and that's why I want to make sure that we touch on. So yeah, I'm completely fine with it being virtual. completely fine with that.
Mr. Mayor, I'm good with Wednesdays, but I just would like a more organized outlook on the, like, why we're meeting, what's the workshops for, what are the topics on the workshop, so that it's just not, we're just having meetings and not getting anything accomplished.
So
I know you talked about strategic planning, you talked about event policy, and then you brought
so
up
from
the
there,
manager.
like those from events is something that's what we talked about. We say we're going to further workshop. Strategic planning is tied to our budget and also the goals. Like when we negotiated the contract with the manager, it was very clear that we have to have, he has goals from us as a commission in order to do his job. Like, and we got to give him those goals. So that's what the strategic planning is about. And that's what part of it. It gives us all clear directives. It shows to the commission, to the public, the manager, these is what we want to address so that we can address them. And that's usually a basic part of how governments are run. So those will be the foundation. And then we go from there. Then I said we would decide in those workshops whether or not it's going to be on beautification or HR, if we got to do more, but that's on us. So I just want to make sure we set the time to tackle these things because we got to do it. Like it's just really, we just got to do it. As simple as that. So.
Mr. Mayor, realistically, these workshops are more at a request of myself. They're needed. My objective was to send out an email tomorrow asking you all, at least for the month of March, to agree to 2 Wednesdays. Because there is some stuff that needs to be discussed. And I don't want to have 6-hour-long commission meetings that kind of discuss them. We kind of got to be targeted. And I promise the meeting won't go more than 2 or 3 hours. It's just, 2, gotcha, Vice Mayor. All right. I make sure that whatever subjects to talk to is a 2-hour thing and we get through it. The first thing we have to get through this special events policy is a finding.
Yeah, it's a finding.
We have to hash it out.
It's a finding.
It needs to be workshop. It needs to be hashed out, regardless if something's taken out or whatever. You guys have the draft already. If you guys have ideas, just go ahead and mark them down. We'll discuss them so we can go ahead and finalize that and kind of go from there. You guys' goals and vision is tied to the budget. So it helps me in the budget process, right? To tell me what you guys need. A little weird this year, we got into the election cycle. So September came up, we're in election cycle. We got 2 new commissioners, new vice mayor. So that kind of threw everything off. And I believe that's the reasoning of the mayor of wanting you all to be oriented and kind of go on. I think part of those orientations was kind of be tied into strategic planning. And we end up having individual meetings and various different things like that, but other 3 were not included. So they have no knowledge of what was discussed. So I totally understand all that. Moving forward, I do want open communication, things to be organized more. And I do want to hear more of a united thought process of how we want to move the commission forward. The mayor's motivated. He came in 4 major challenges. So last year, we kind of moved more on, okay, these are the 4 major challenges. This is what we're dealing with. So kind of a thought process, that's the kind of thought process I was kind of thinking of, right? So last year was fine because I kind of moved in and got thrown in the fire and there's a lot of just stuff whirling around. At this point, we're more in a stabilized front, I want to say. As the mayor said, most of his goals are achieved, or at least some of them are being addressed. I would like to hear from everybody. And then when I do things, more of a united front, we're all on the same page, we're all looking great, I'm looking good, we're all fine. everything in Opa-locka is fine, guys. We're moving in the direction we need to move in, and we're in a united front. We all can sit here and agree to disagree all the time. That's the purpose of these workshops. And I will speak up and say I disagree, and this is why, and this is where we need to come from, with the proper decorum and respect, right? We get a little high strung sometimes, so we just need to kind of stabilize things and come together. And it's not adversarial. And I will hope the intent is positive, and I believe it is wholeheartedly. And that's kind of how we need to kind of look things move forward. And I think the staff will start feeling calmer. Everybody be on the same page. Everybody understands I'm the city manager. I make the final decision in regards to operations and things. I know people are eager to get things done and motivated to get things done. And I understand that. It's just the staff needs to be in a place where they feel stable. Please understand they hear what's going on a dais. They hear the views of the commission. They understand there are concerns. The commission needs to also understand there was limitations on staff. We were in financial emergencies, budgeting limitations, personality limitations, you know, and I would be very direct with you all. You all didn't have a kind and nurturing city managers in the past. You guys had city managers that just came in, swooping, everybody's gone, the whirlwind is happening, World War III is occurring. And so now the staff is in a place where they feel stabilized, they feel comfortable. We just need to have an open conversation. If there's a disagreement, we all can agree to disagree. And the staff, honestly, and I'm letting them know out loud, they're going to be engaged in these workshops. I'm not going to be the only one up here talking. So it's needed. So at least 2 in March. I don't know about April and May and June, but at least 2 in March kind of get us jump started.
Thank you. Much respect, Mr. Manager, on many levels. Many levels. All right. Any other okay. So wait. So can we do the Wednesdays where we don't have commission meetings? Everybody cool with that virtually? Okay, cool. All right. So we're good with that. Very
Mayor?
quick.
I'm sorry, just for
No, go ahead.
clarification, so we're doing every other Wednesday, opposite to commission meeting?
Yes. So basically.
For how long?
Just for March for right now.
Okay, so just for March. The only reason I ask is because we're still trying to catch up on minutes from last year's workshop. And then you're adding more workshops, so
Yeah, no,
that's fine.
I completely understand it, and that's why I want us to be very clear so that staff and everybody know what's going on. As simple as that. We all need to be very clear. We all got families we need to take care of and see. All right. Lastly, I do want to make a comment about a meeting I had with Cordoba Courts and Representative Wilson, Congresswoman Wilson, and quite a few others, which was pretty straight up about the challenges that need to be addressed. And I want to applaud and just got to give my shout outs and respects when I know Commissioner Davis, I would say Vice Mayor right there with, when we first got in, that was one of big priorities is to address the slum conditions that we saw in the city, and with the hiring of a minimum housing officer and staff and code enforcement going into many of our problem areas and really evaluating and asking for help from NAACP, tenant associations, legal services, and also Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's office. There's been a lot of progress that's been made, and the residents see that. And it's just impressive. So shout out to Congresswoman Wilson and Representative Bush because he's kind of doing the same in regards to Glorietta Gardens. And my final point, I just want to appreciate and acknowledge and pay my love that y'all got all these masks on. I know I got the original one without no name on it, but I see all y'all got y'all names on it. But thank you, it looked good. I'm looking at the Zoom and it looks good, y'all. As simple as that. So I'm done. I conclude my report. Any official board appointments? All right, it is time to get out of here, y'all. I have a motion to adjourn. Well, oh, wait.
Mr. Mayor,
Manager?
Just so everybody knows, there's food outside for Black History Month. My apologies to make that, not making an announcement. Black History dinner.
Probably would have ended earlier if y'all knew that. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved.
Second.
Second. This meeting adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.
Mr. Manager?
I said it was gonna be long.